Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Chiefs Digest Live Q&A with yours truly, Matt Derrick. First off, I do want to start off with a brief apology for last week. I had to postpone the Tuesday night Q&A, and I had hoped to make that up with you with two more later in the week as lightning round replacements did not work out the way that I had hoped. There was just some personal issues during the week, family issues during the week that kind of got in the way of everything work related. So I apologize for that, but hitting the ground running for training camp. So we're going to be back on schedule. Maybe I'm going to be able to, come up with maybe a shot in the dark edition with a lightning round edition later in the week to try and catch up on some things and make it up for last week's lack of a show. Hopefully you all weren't not too disappointed. Hope you're able also to check out 41 is the mic, and Nick and I breaking everything down from what we saw during the first 2 days of training camp with the rookies and the quarterbacks. We got 3 days under our belts now, and obviously Monday was a very unusual day, a very somber day up at training camp with everything that happened with Eric Bieniemy's family and his wife and son. We will talk a little bit about that. I don't have any more updates than what is generally known publicly, so I don't want to spend and dwell on it a whole lot other than to send. I know everyone's thinking of the Bieniemy family and Eric and his wife and wishing her the absolute best in her recovery, hoping that everything comes out okay in the end. I cannot even understand and explain how these things happen. A friend of mine suffered a very similar incident many years ago, and it still resonates in so many different ways. And I think of my friend quite frequently, and thought of her a lot yesterday. Okay, I cannot explain what happened there. I'm not even sure if I'm still. I look like I am frozen, so I have no idea what is going on at this point. Um, yes, my computer crashed. We have rebooted. If there's, I'm looking at a frozen screen. So if there's anybody that is able to, I guess there we go. Joe said he cannot see or hear me. I am still you can hear me, but I'm frozen. Okay, well, that's a step in the right direction, one supposes. We'll see. We'll work on some other things here. I feel absolutely terrible, even more so that as I was speaking earlier, I was in the middle of talking about Eric Bieniemy and everything that was going on with his family, and I know that everyone's absolutely heartbroken about this and everything that's happened. I truly obviously hope the best works out for everyone. We wish him the absolute best. AB needs to take as much time as he needs to focus and take care of his family. And there's nobody in the Chiefs organization I know that is going to have any problems with that. And they're absolutely keeping him in their thoughts, and everyone's thinking of him right now. There's no pressure on when he's going to be coming back, and I don't expect there to be any questions anytime soon about that. So EB needs to take care of his family and do what he needs to do. And I know this team is with him, and I know that Chiefs fans are with him as well. If we can find a way to work through all of this, I'm going to go ahead and take Chris's question here while we try to work out the video problems of this whole thing. Okay, may have the microphone back while we're continuing to do this, and I probably this is just not going the way I want, but I did want to take care of Chris's question and address it off the top. I figured this might come up with Jordan Devy passing away over the weekend, and I'll admit I did not know Jordan well. I talked to him a few times. He was a quiet guy. Um, and he had a horrific injury, against the Bengals. I think I'm trying to remember which year that was. I think was it 18 that he tore his pectoral muscle and stayed in the game. The Chiefs were dealing with a lot of injuries. He was starting that game as an injury replacement. He had an absolutely incredible game, playing basically with one arm. He tore his tore his triceps, and you know, still to this date, one of the most amazing performances that I've seen from somebody stepping into a position like that. Absolutely incredible. Sad to hear. Obviously, there were difficulties going on in that young man's life. Okay. Anybody who has made it through the first 14 minutes of this show deserves a prize of some sort. I don't know that I have any way of giving you any surprise any prizes, but thank you very much for hanging with us. What an interesting start to the show we've had tonight. I guess I you know what? We're just act like the first part of the show didn't happen. It's there. It's saved for posterity. You can watch it on the YouTubes and I'm sure some other places. Hit the like button for audio and video. Weston stayed through it. I appreciate that. That is incredibly kind of you. I think our YouTube viewers may have completely abandoned ship, but we've got the Twitter audience and the X audience, so let's hang in there. We'll see if we can't salvage this and have ourselves a little fun talking about the Chiefs. Put everything that happened for the first 15 minutes behind us. We're there. We're going to put all of the sadness of the last few days in Chiefs Kingdom behind us and move on. And let's focus on this moving forward. We're going to have a great time tonight. We're going to have some fun. We're going to get the technical buzzers and weird things out of our minds. We're going to deal with the fact that my hair looks terrible on this camera right now. We're going to just ignore the fact that my camera angle is completely off since I had to reset it. We're just going to have some fun. So let's talk about some Chiefs. Let's talk about apparently Bart Simpson. We'll get into that too. I guess it's Bart. Bart is back and having a more prominent role. I know I'm not completely centered now, and you can hear my chair squeaking as I move along. So, all right, let's boot. Let's start all over again. Luttrell, you said it. There's a lot of news this week. John. I'm assuming I'm not making going crazy here and everything like this. You are the winner. You were the winner of our enthusiast contest, which I haven't gotten all the feedback on yet. But Nick really did not like the way that I chose the winner and honored the runners up and everything. But bless his heart. But John, you are the winner, so I need to follow up with you and get some information to send you your prize. Which is either an autographed copy of my book or the more expensive unautographed copy of the 2019 championship edition of At Last. That's over my shoulder. One will be heading your way. Take on the rookies so far. Who has stood out? I'm continuing to be a Cyrus Allen stan. I've yet to see this dude have a bad practice going back to rookie minicamp. He has consistently proven over and over again that he's got the ability to play in this league. That he's got it. He's got it, and I've been continuing to be really, really impressed with what we've seen from him. I thought the quarterbacks I think have looked a little better than they did during OTAs. Probably just calming down a little bit and just kind of figuring some things out, getting more comfortable. I wouldn't say spectacular with Justin Fields and Garrett Nussmeier, but I think they've improved. So I think that's helped everybody else kind of raise their game a little bit. I honestly don't think that there was a lot of bad football this weekend. I mean, I think there was a lot to like across the board, particularly with the draft picks. Now, there's some things that are going to be hard to judge. And and I've been talking with people in the organization the last few days as well. And, going back to Friday, once everybody started getting into the camp and there's players that obviously this team's excited about that I think are hard to judge when we're just seeing them in the one practice availability. And right now when it's even just, no pads, nothing like that, they've seen a lot more of these guys, but I continue to hear just absolutely incredible excitement about what they got in Peter Woods. A lot of excitement about what they have in R. Mason Thomas. I think there's contentment within the organization with what they're getting from Mansour Delane right now. He has still been wearing that yellow non-contact jersey, so he may be taking it easy a little bit. I'm going to withhold judgment. I mean, I'm not going to judge Mansour Delane on what's happened in 3 days of practice. I didn't think there were 3 great days. And I thought he was a little inconsistent during OTAs, but I'm still banking on the fact that the Chiefs know what they're doing with these guys in this position. Dave Merritt knows what he's doing with these guys in this position, and that Delane is going to be a player. I have just a hard time imagining that he's not. I think, and I thought that when he was talking about at the podium on Saturday. I thought it was notable that he talked a little bit about just feeling the pressure of living up and being the number 6 overall pick, and that's something I think you have to deal with. And he kind of smiled when I asked him about, hey, Dave Merritt sometimes says, rookie corners and everything like that, and defensive backs are a little bit like Dory. They're just swimming around. They're just trying to keep up with everything that's been dumped on him. And he gave this little smile that I don't know if it was the smile just because he thought I was crazy, or if that was ringing true. But I mean, we've seen it before. We've seen corners struggle a little bit and then really kind of find their way. And I think that's what the Chiefs are expecting from Delane. That he may have his ups and downs, but I think they think that he's going to find his way through it, and they are excited about the player that he is and can be. I think you've heard a little bit, if you've been following along the last few days, about players who have had their moments. Xavier Wampa out of Iowa, the safety, I think has looked really good. I'm just heartbroken for Ethan Downs getting injured on Saturday. I mean, it was just an incredibly difficult situation for him to be in. It was basically helping out the team. I mean, he was playing a little linebacker, even though he's listed as a linebacker on the Chiefs roster, and that's really an artifact of him kind of being a 3-4 linebacker and playing that and he's kind of where he was at when he entered the league in Jacksonville, and playing a little bit of outside linebackers. It's somewhat of an artifact of that. He has worked with defensive ends since he's been in Kansas City. He's considered an edge. He was an edge at Oklahoma. His coach was the coaches of the edges in Oklahoma. He played the same position as R. Mason Thomas did. So, I just felt heartbroken. They had him playing a little outside linebacker because they only had one linebacker left on Saturday. Wesley Basaint had to leave. Looked like there was a heat-related incident that he left for. Just a bad circumstance that Ethan Downs ends up getting tangled up with Emmett Johnson and tearing his ACL. It's just incredibly bad luck and just poor unfortunate situation, because I think he was going to make this team. And what little we got to see of him, I thought Ethan looked good, and he was going to play a lot of special teams too. Like I said, I'm almost going to exclude offensive line and defensive line from the conversation for now, because there's just so little that we can tell from them in a rookie mini camp when there's no 11 on 11 even. You barely get 7-on-7, but you're not getting any team periods. You're strictly getting drills. And so I find that incredibly difficult to judge offensive line, defensive line on just that alone. I like the receivers. I mean, everybody had their moments, and again, grain of salt, because if you're a receiver and you're not impressing me in your shorts in July, then there's a problem. But all of them look fine. I mean, Jacob DeJesus looked good. Omari Evans, Xavier Lloyd, I thought were all fine and looked good. But there wasn't a doubt. I mean, there's no doubt. You look on the field and you're like, Cyrus Allen is the best receiver that's out there. So I think that's a big part of it. I'll be interested to see how it looks going forward. I mean, right now it seems as though that the Chiefs may have just a little bit of an edge to Jaden Ott over Emmitt Smith, EJ Smith. We'll see, and I'm still going to be intrigued how that all sorts out when it comes to special teams and who might be a returner, because I think EJ Smith's a little bit better suited for that than Jaden Ott. But Dave Tobe seems to think that both of them could be in the mix for that. I thought some of the corners that are in camp look really impressive, and safeties. Deshaun Singleton, I think, had an interception. Diarco Perkins McAllister, the corner, had an interception. Outside Xavier Wampa, I think it's going to be difficult for any of these guys to step up. I should throw Andrew Armstrong in there too. He's technically a first-year receiver. He's been around. He was in the league last year before he got to Kansas City. It was an undrafted free agent a year ago from Arkansas. And there was a couple of those guys that looked good too. I mean, Cam Arnold, I've been pretty impressed with, going back to rookie because he was, I believe, in a tryout for rookie minicamp, I believe, but he also looked good during OTAs. Of the guys that we've seen that I would say, hey, this is a guy who got a chance to make the roster, I think Xavier Wampa would be in there. I think the running backs, both Smith and Ott, I think are in the conversation. All the wide receivers are probably projects. I mean, obviously you drafted Cyrus Allen, he's going to make this team. Somebody else makes this team from the receiver group. I think it's because you're either keeping 6 or 7 receivers and one of them maybe pushes through to be a specialist. I'm still going to be really interested in the lines, and especially with the Downs injury, I think that's going to open up a spot for maybe an undrafted free agent to crack this roster. I think there's an opportunity for a defensive tackle like a Cole Brevard to make this team. So we'll see. I mean, I can't say the only. I guess probably the Wesley Bassett was probably the only one, and I'm not holding him against him the heat related thing that can happen to anybody, but he was probably the only player that I thought looked way behind, and again, he also was not out there during OTAs. So this is really his first action back and first action with this team since rookie mini camp. But that was the only player that I thought that's a guy I have too many minuses by. But we'll see what happens, John. So, Patrick, did you see my tweet saying we challenge you to be at a positive rating on attendance at training camp before the first preseason game? Yeah, I have to admit my challenge of trying to beat the players to practice each day has not gone well for the first 3 days. Honestly, my job of even trying to beat Jesse Newell to practice every single day has not gone well. Just Jesse's 3-0 on me, so I'm not doing great. Wednesday, I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do on Wednesday. I mean, I might just declare, put in an official appearance and declare victory, because on Wednesday, the Chiefs are having a press conference with Mark Donovan. It's the opening of training camp at 8:00, and I have to be there. So I'm going to be there at 8:00. I mean, in theory, the first players don't usually come down to the field till like 8:30, 8:45. So I may have to go down to the field at like 7:45 just to, take a picture of myself, show that I'm there, proof of life and everything, and claim my victory just so I can get a win. I mean, I need the win, Patrick. There's no doubt about that. So, and again, I feel pretty comfortable that I can stack some victories. It's just going to be up to Harrison Butker. If Harrison Butker is going to show up at 8:00 every single day, there's no point. I'm not doing it. I will fight to be the first non-specialist on the field, because there's no reason for anybody. There's no reason for Harrison Butker to be on the field at 8:00 in the morning. So we'll see what happens, but I'm gonna get better, Patrick. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna step up the game. Weston, what's the number one thing or player you're going to be watching during this camp? I mean, I think I'm moving on from Patrick Mahomes, because I've seen everything I need to see from Patrick. I think Patrick is going to be all gas, no brakes. I really don't think that he's going to be limited in any way. There might be some. I mean, maybe they'll back him off, give him a day off periodically, like they do for a Chris Jones and Wood, and probably have kind of done a little bit for Travis as well. But there hasn't been a lot of those days. A little bit more for Chris than for Travis, but they might just give him a day off. But I don't see them holding him back out of 11 on 11. I don't see them holding him back from any of the number one reps. I think he's going to take the usual number one reps and everything that they do. I think the checkpoints for Patrick are going to be things that he wants to do on the field. He talked about checkpoints the other day. We've all been talking about checkpoints, and to me, when I'm talking about checkpoints with Patrick, it's like, I need to see him do this. I need to see him. He's got to get back out there where he's with 11 on 11. He's got to be taking snaps under center with 11 on 11. He needs to be out there with pads. I still think it would behoove the Chiefs to have him play at least a series in a preseason game to just knock the rust off, get his feet wet, and get comfortable. Because otherwise, knowing Patrick, if he doesn't get like a series in the preseason, I think he's going to go out there in week one and be so hyped and ready to go that his first pass against the Broncos might just be 80 yards downfield and there'd be nobody. I mean, not be a receiver down there. He's just going to be overhyped and just launch the ball over somebody's head. Kind of things can also turn into interception. So, let him go out there and get, kind of like a golden retriever. Just let Patrick go out there and get rid of some of that bundle of energy that he's got heading into the season, and get it out there in the preseason. So we'll see. But I got no concern. So then it moves on. The Chiefs need Rashee Rice. They need him to be good. They need him to be a very good player. They need him to be the 1,200-yard kind of guy that he should be. So, well, that's the guy I'm going to watch. I mean, they've pretty much set an expectation that he's going to be ready to go on day one. If he is not, if he starts on the PUP list or he's limited in any way in a yellow non-contact jersey, I mean, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but in pacing themselves. But we need to see Rashee Rice hit the ground running pretty hard early. The expectations have been set. He's ready to go. If that's the case, you need to see it because the Chiefs need this guy. They need him to be the player that they drafted and what they've tried to develop him to be. I mean, it's contract year for him. He needs to do it. This is mutually assured victory here. If Rashee Rice has a good year, it's good for both him and the Chiefs. They both need it. So that's the guy. I mean, I think Kenneth Walker is going to be the real deal. I don't think that there's a whole lot that you have to worry about there. It's just Rashee Rice is a huge X factor, and they need him. They need him to be the guy that's gonna be a huge cog in this offense. Patrick, sorry for the back-to-back. No, that's not a problem. We interrupted you there, but had to see two young rookies. Hate to see two young rookies go down on IR already. Do you see them spending money to bring in some vets to fill those two spots, Diggs and Clowney? Agree with you on hard to see those two guys go down. The one, I mean, for sure. I mean, with Ethan Downs, for sure, it's an ACL, so he won't be back this season. It's interesting on Gillenborg because it's kind of looks like two ways with him. One, the Chiefs have been calling it a knee sprain. Unusual to go on injured reserve with that, but remember, you do have the ability to designate, unlike the past, if you went on injured reserve now during training camp, your season would essentially be over. You could designate him to return during the countdown to 53. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, one, there's a pretty good chance you got two other guys you're going to have to and need to designate. But I mean, it's possible. I mean, if they don't have anybody else and they're like, hey, maybe this guy can come back, they could choose him to do that with. But this was always, I think, going to be a redshirt year. This is a guy who has not played a ton of football, played at Wyoming, so it wasn't big time football. But remember, I mean, he played 1 year of high school football. It's a whole new thing for him. So this, I thought, was always going to be a redshirt year. This was always going to be a practice squad year for Gillenborg. If this is the way it comes about, blessing in disguise, maybe it's going to be, kind of at least what the Chiefs thought they would be able to get from him this year to a certain degree. How do they replace these guys? I mean, there's still the same factors that are involved. One is money. Chiefs don't have a ton of cap space. Now, at least both those guys are free agents, so we're not talking about somebody that they would have to give up resources with draft picks to go get as well. It would just be money, but they don't have a ton of money. I mean, they can still restructure somebody, but they don't really want to do that. I mean, they would like to be able to carry as much into 2027 and pay for guys that they've already paid essentially and have that money going forward. And the final thing is that they've got a lot of young guys at both those spots. So they don't want, and I mean, let's put it this way. If they were to bring in a receiver that was that they think is better than Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice and Tyquan Thornton and is going to be like a number one receiver, they're in trouble. I mean, if they're bringing in a receiver at this point, it better be somebody that they think is only the third or fourth best receiver on their team. And honestly, if you believe in Cyrus Allen and if you're the Chiefs and you believe in Jalen Royals, I don't know why are you bringing anybody in? You don't want anybody that's going to take snaps from any of these guys. I mean, you're going to have plenty of work for your starters and for your top four guys. And I would have Cyrus Allen as the fourth guy right there. Jalen Royals I have as a fifth guy. The sixth guy is probably a special teams player, a specialist. I mean, I don't think you're carrying 7 receivers again. I just don't see the point in that. So, I mean, there's nobody that you're going to say to yourself, hey, I want somebody to come in here and get snaps in front of Cyrus Allen. No, you want that guy to play as much as possible. I think the same thing is true with Jalen Royals. If Jalen Royals isn't ready to go, then I think you got some other young guys that you prefer to go with. I mean, this team is not in a position. This is not a team that is in Band-Aid mode. This is not a team that you're just saying, "Oh, hey, they're just a Stephon Diggs away from being a Super Bowl team. They're a Jadeveon Clowney away from being a Super Bowl team." That's not what they are. I mean, they are. This team is either good enough to win a Super Bowl and compete for the AFC, or it's not. They're not one player away from changing it. I mean, and maybe they're not. Maybe we're going to say at the end of the season, okay, this team was a 9-8 team, and that's what they were. Maybe they go 6-11 again. I don't know, but they're not in all shove it all in mode. They've been there before. They've done that. They got they got rings. They got 3 rings. So they're not in all in mode. They're in long-term mode right now. They're trying to build a roster that's going to have affordable young guys that can continue to develop and grow with this team as Mahomes gets older, and they've got to develop those guys. I mean, they need some of these undrafted, and they spent money on these undrafted free agents. They were one of the biggest spenders in free agency for college free agents this year. They got some of the best players. They did that with the idea of trying to grow these guys, and they drafted players too. There's not a spot on this team for the most part that you really say to yourself, "Hey, the Chiefs want to sign a free agent to come in here and take snaps away from somebody else." You don't want to. You don't want to take snaps away from Karlaftis. Karlaftis is not going to lose any snaps, but you don't want to take snaps away from Ashton Gelati. You don't want to take them away from R. Mason Thomas. I mean, anybody who's going to come in here, I think you're going to say, "Hey, you're going to be our fourth, at best, our fourth best edge rusher, fourth most snaps, and you're going to be like our number 4, 5, probably fifth receiver." I mean, that's not Stephon Diggs or Clowney. I mean, it's other guys that you could possibly bring in. I don't see either one of those guys coming in and being happy with those roles. So I think for all those reasons, I'd be really surprised if the Chiefs went down that road. It doesn't mean they might have some veterans come in, some guys with some experience, but they're going to be guys that, know their role, who know that they're here to back guys up. They're here for niche purposes. They're not here to become starters. They're not here for the long term. They're here to help other guys develop and grow. And if that means that, like you're inactive for 16 weeks, I mean, that's the reality of it. But I still don't see the Chiefs have not been in big name acquisition mode for this offseason. And I still just don't see it changing. John, your thoughts on the new stadium rendering? Should they have gone for a different look than an updated Arrowhead with a roof? I mean, the funny thing is, you're right. I mean, that's exactly what this thing looks like. If you go back, and I know we've all been told to ignore the drawings that the Manica did 2 years ago, which were done when the Kansas legislature was discussing the Star Bond issue, and they did some illustrations that the Chiefs made very clear that they had nothing to do with whatsoever. Although they look mysteriously very similar to the drawings that came out last week, except that, hey, the roof is different. There's a racing stripe, and they've got Arrowhead scoreboards now. I mean, this is, I know the Chiefs just recently announced that Manica was going to be, their design partner, everything like that. I mean, Manica's known they're going to be design partner for 2 years. They didn't do those illustrations out of the goodness of their heart with no reason whatsoever. So I'm not buying the conspiracy. I'm all in on the conspiracy theories here, John. I'm not buying any of this nonsense. I'm fully into Manica's known what they've been doing for a long, long time. As far as how it looks, I mean, I think they look fine. I mean, I'm glad somebody suggested to me that Jason Anderson of 810 Sports Radio 810 suggested to me that the roof looks like a Pringle. There was another object that I thought the roof looked like that I don't think would be appropriate for me to say out loud right now. So if anybody else thinks that, you're probably going to put it in the postings, and then, we can maybe have that conversation then. But if I'm the only one that thinks it looks like this something, then I want to be on an island. I want everybody to never know what I think. But if we're going to call it the Pringle, I mean, and hey, I would put in the staircases then, and then, just like the spiral staircase, the spiral ramps and everything, and then sell those sponsorships to Pringles. I think that'd be great. Hey, I mean, I know from talking with the Chiefs when they did those surveys, one of the about what fans would want in a new stadium. I mean, the number one thing that came back by and large was that they wanted it to be a lot like Arrowhead and have the same traditions. They wanted to have the tailgating. They want to have the same kind of features. So I mean, that's what these illustrations are all about is, showing that, hey, this new stadium is going to have a connection to old Arrowhead and it's going to be they're going to try and recreate that atmosphere. And because that's what fans said is that even if you build a new stadium, they wanted to have the same kind of atmosphere that Arrowhead has had. I mean, can you bottle that? Can you put that under a dome? And I don't know. I mean, will the transparent roof work the way that they hope? I don't know. I mean, uh, we'll see, but I will say this, is that I don't the renderings aren't gonna I don't think they're gonna necessarily sell anybody on it, and I don't think that the renderings are obviously gonna convince anybody that it's gonna be a great stadium. What's gonna be convinced to be a great stadium are the details. That's what they gotta get right. It's not about getting these renderings right, 5 years before you build the building. It's about getting the little things right, I mean, it's the things inside the stadium that need to work, you need to be able to get to the concession stands and get what you want and not miss any action, you need to have things that are, family events and everything that make Arrowhead a destination. Some things that you're kind of missing. I mean, even though they've done a great job with like the Hall of Fame and that remodeling over the years and what it's turned into is fantastic, but you need features like that. I mean, you need things that make it a great experience to go to Arrowhead, from the moment you walk into the gate to the moment that you walk out, and for the tailgating experience too. So, I mean, even getting the parking lot is going to be right, have to be right. And I even had some people who were like looking at the parking lot renderings and rumors going around and saying, "Oh, well, they're going to cut back on the tailgating, and you're going to have to pay extra for it." I don't know what's going to happen, and hopefully they just don't nickel and dime Chiefs fans to death for features that they love and maybe haven't paid for over the years, but then all of a sudden make them premium. I mean, you'd hate to see that. But again, it's the devil's in the details. The renderings are, I mean, they look nice. Buffalo's renderings look great, and their fans all seem to be upset about tiny little details. And that's the point, is that you got to get the little details right. Eric, Matt, as a former PR guy, can you explain what happened with ESPR and Ryan Clark? Why did ESPN not want Outkick to have the story? Why couldn't they wait until the show to fire him? It's a great question, and as a I'm intrigued that you asked me as a former PR guy, because I've had this exact same question this week as a former PR guy about. I mean, if you're worth half your salt as a PR guy, you talk to the report. If you've got a reporter who's calling you and saying, "Hey, which is apparently what happened, that a reporter, editor, whomever it was that ended up calling ESPN PR and saying, "Hey, we've got this story. We've got a source that's going to say this. Do you have any comment?" You know, I mean, the first thing you as a good PR person would be to say, "Look, I mean," and there's a reasonable chance, having been in PR and worked for a company that was going through layoffs and had layoffs, I can tell you there's a line for a corporation like that you go to, and I'll just spill it out here. There was a layoff where the cut line for who knew and who didn't know was right above me. So my boss knew what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. So people come to me, rumor mill, everything like this. I mean, the only thing I can say is which was the truth, which was nobody's told me anything, so I don't know. Had a member of the media called me and said, "Hey, got a report, source says that you guys are laying off a bunch of people. What's going on?" I mean, in my position, my level, about the only thing I can say is, well, you know what? Let me call you back. And then I would have huddled with my boss and we would have figured out what to do. My answer and my suggestion to my boss in that situation would be, okay, if it's true, tell the reporter, look, we haven't informed this person. We haven't informed these people that they're losing their jobs. We don't want this person to see that they're being a part of a cutback in the media. Can you give us a half hour? The guy's on the air right now. Give us a half hour. Now, if other things that appear to be happening are possibly true, which is that ESPN may have dealt dirty, that not only did they maybe try, I mean, not only did they apparently get rid of Ryan Clark in the middle of the show, but then apparently may have even then given the story to another outlet. I don't know if that's true or not. It certainly looks like that's a possibility. Who knows? But that's the conversation that you have. You say, look, the guy's on the air right now. He's going to be on the air for another half hour. Can you give us a half hour to make sure that we do this thing right? Doing it the way they did it, no, that's not. But you know what? Here's the thing: is that when corporations make decisions like this, they oftentimes, I mean, the unfortunate thing is that the machinery doesn't consider the people. And we all know this. I mean, we know when there's cutbacks and everything like this that, hopefully by and large, it's not personal, that you're not laying off people for personal reasons, and you shouldn't be trying to hurt people when you do this, but they do it all the time. I mean, not only do people just not know that they're going to be losing their jobs, once again, I probably just shouldn't say anything, period. But I will say, when I worked in corporate world in PR, we were forced to do some really crappy things. They were things that I did not agree with. They were things that I fought back on. They were things that I pushed back on, and they were probably part of the reason I was asked to leave. Actually, I know they were part of the reason I was asked to leave. But I mean, if I don't know if there's anything that, I mean, you corporations don't have feelings. They don't. So I don't expect them to have. Corporations don't have moralities. They largely don't have ethics. They act in the way that they act, and you're not going to change them. So I don't know. I got so fired up on this, gosh darn it, that I forgot to check my super chats, and I even saw Brother Rick's coming in, so I feel terrible about that. Chris with the super chat, thank you very much. De Jesus, catch, pass, run, return. You like him? I do. I do. I mean, we'll see if he gets a chance in the return game. I mean, he is, for all intents and purposes, he's Darren Sproles size. Darren Sproles was a good returner, so maybe he can do that. I'd like to see it. I mean, he's a little guy. There is no doubt about it. There's things that in routes as a little guy, they're going to be tough and challenging for him. But he wouldn't be here if he couldn't ball. The Chiefs like him, clearly. I think practice squad is up his speed. I don't know if he's completely ready for the NFL. He might need a little bit more seasoning. If he could catch on as a returner, if he can be that return guy at number 6 and give you some explosion, and maybe just your returner doesn't have to be a guy that you depend on offense. I mean, if he's a guy just give you a few snaps, and while he learns and develops and everything like that, that's great. I think if he makes this team, I think De Jesus is going to have to do it as a return specialist first, more than anything else. So if he can do that, that's going to be number one. And because even as a gunner or anything like that, that's a really difficult one to kind of figure out and everything like that. But I like him. I think he's been really impressive. Looks like he works his butt off. He looks like he's been a favorite of Chad O'Shea. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about him, and I'm hoping to interview him in the next couple of weeks during training camp and talk to him a little bit about his journey and everything. So if I do, you will get to see it here. Brother Rick, what are your thoughts? And thanks again for the super chat, both of you, Chris and Brother Rick. What are your thoughts on putting Kareem Hunt on the practice squad after the season starts? I mean, it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. I still feel like Kareem, by and large, is a short yardage back. I don't know that there's anything else left in the system. And as good as he was last year as a short yardage back, I feel like a lot of it was still the offensive line. I mean, hey, signing Kareem and stashing him on the practice squad, I don't think it's a terrible idea. I mean, especially, if you think he's better than, the other guys that you could put there, he's better than an E.J. Smith or a Jaden Knott or anybody like that. Yeah, I get that. And I don't think it's a terrible idea. I mean, maybe it's a really smart idea. Maybe it's good insurance for short yardage situations rest of the way. I mean, maybe your short yardage offense doesn't look as good as it did last year with Kareem running it. I mean, Kareem was, as I keep saying, Kareem was better than the tush push last year. So if you're not that good this year, I mean, maybe Kareem was the secret sauce. So maybe you do need to consider bringing him back for just those situations, because it could be critical this year. I mean, last year it didn't prove to be that critical. I mean, if short yard Chiefs didn't go 6-11 because they were short yardage situations. So I mean, that's not necessarily the difference for that team. It could it be for this team? I mean, is short yardage going to be the difference between winning the AFC and getting knocked out in the divisional round? Maybe it is. So that would be the to me, that would be the argument that you've got concerns about your short yardage game, and you need the experience of Kareem to be there. I mean, the other part of it is that Kareem's got some miles. He's definitely got some age on him. I don't know about how much he's got left in the tank, but I mean, Kareem's at this point. I mean, he's been a good dude on this team the last couple of years. So if he wanted to come back, Chiefs were interested. I don't think anybody would be against it. So, but appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much, brother Rick. Eric, how did Outkick to get the news about Clark PR? I mean, almost anywhere. I mean, and that's another thing I would say from my PR experience and everything is that I mean, there's a lot of people who know. I mean, when you're doing something like this, these people think that they are so smart that they're keeping everything secret. I mean, like I said in my previous example, the only thing I didn't know in PR, like when I talked about and said, that line between who knew and who didn't, was me. I mean, I was right under that line and my boss was right above that line, and my boss knew everything and I knew nothing. Didn't mean I didn't suspect things. Didn't mean I wasn't hearing rumors. I mean, nobody in any world is people know things, and there's two types of people that generally work in these operations, and one are the ones that obviously I mean, the NFL is pretty good at, it seems like, it's getting maybe the Chiefs are pretty good. Chiefs don't leak a lot these days. I will give them that credit, for better or for worse. I mean, I would love that they leaked a little bit more, but they don't. But people know things. It could have been somebody in PR. It could have been, I mean, the fact that the timing of how this all went down suggests that maybe, PR did not want Outkick to have it and gave it this, was it The Athletic, I think, that ended up having it as well. It could have been that they both had it and, The Athletic was waiting for something else. I don't know. I don't know what their editorial process was like, and their vetting process, and how they got the information. Those things happen. I mean, I know lesser scale and just football news, but I mean, and sometimes people get information at the exact same time, and one's just faster getting it out there. I don't know. I can't begin to guess about how Outcat got it in the first place. I don't know what their sources are, but apparently they were right, so somebody was doing their job. But it could be almost anybody. It could be anybody in any silo of the company. More people know about these things than they realize. I mean, it's not one person. It's not a handful. I mean, there's people in HR that know about this. When they go through the decision-making process, there's people in probably half a dozen departments that know what's going on. And all you need is one disgruntled person or one friend of somebody else. And it doesn't even, I mean, I know from experience that, I mean, sometimes it's just the strangest ways. It can be, hey, the husband of somebody, and PR or HR finds out and everything, and they tell somebody, and that person tells somebody else, and it turns out that person is friends with somebody at Outkick. Who knows? Things like that happen. So, who knows? I mean, they obviously did a good job, though, so I give them kudos, credit. I mean, they were well sourced and they nailed it and everything. And again, that's why, hey, if they called up ESPN and said, hey, we got the story here, and why their first response wasn't to just tell the truth and say, look, the guy's on the air right now, give us half an hour. We don't want to treat this guy we want to treat this guy right. Aaron, Jules, I've never received Jules before, so very, very cool. Thank you, friend. Appreciate that. And this the super chat's going on. You guys are all great. Thank you. ACC with the super chat. How's Cyrus Allen looking compared to rookie camp? I think onward and upward, ACC. I mean, like I said at the top of the show, before all the technical difficulties, or right after the technical difficulties, I'm not sure. I think Cyrus Allen has looked. I don't think he's had a bad practice yet between rookie minicamp, OTAs, beginning of training camp here. I don't think he's had a bad practice. He's looked the part. He's looked like an NFL receiver in every single practice. Now, in a handful of those practices, a couple in mini camp, the 3 here, the vets haven't been around. So he looked good in the OTAs with the vets around, though. So I thought he was probably. I thought he was the second best receiver that they had during OTAs. I think Xavier Worthy was the best. I thought Cyrus Allen had the second best OTAs period. I'd probably say Tyquan was third. Now Rice wasn't there, so that was a factor as well. But I think he's really, really good. Now I want to tap the brakes and just say, hey, I mean, Cyrus Allen's a certain type of receiver. I don't necessarily think that Cyrus Allen's like a 1,200-yard receiver. Maybe he will be. Maybe he'll surprise me. Maybe he is going to be so precise that the fact that he doesn't have elite speed and elite athleticism doesn't hold him back. I mean, he could very well be a guy who is just so technically precise and proficient at route running and effective with his double moves and all of these things that he doesn't need elite athleticism to get open and make plays. He catches the football, which is what I mean. And I said from the moment that they got him, I mean, he's what I think that they needed to do, because the Chiefs so many times when they go for receiver, whether it's the first round or the fourth or the sixth, whenever they've been going after receivers undrafted, it's all about speed and athleticism. They just go for the guys who can run, who can jump, who put up the best athletic numbers. And that's not Cyrus Allen. What Cyrus Allen does is he catches everything. I mean, he gets open. He battles every single play. I mean, this is the kind of guy that I expect to work. I mean, I think Cyrus Allen's going to be one of these guys who's going to probably give you, in a good year, I mean, when he's fully developed, maybe he's going to give you a couple of 100 yards of these. But even this year, I think he's going to give you 100 junk yards where he's going to find catches because he's just going to keep working. He's going to just work until he gets open, and Mahomes is going to find him. He is going to be, as Andy Reid once said and hoped that Rashee Rice was becoming, I think he's going to be Pat friendly from the get-go. He's going to figure out how, and this is a thing that Chad O'Shea just absolutely drills in. You can see when he's doing his practice drills and everything. I mean, he is trying to drill it into these guys to be quarterback friendly, to present the target, to show their hands, to give the quarterback a place to throw and to target. That's where I think Cyrus Allen is really, really good. And so I think he's going to be Pat friendly. I think he's going to be quarterback friendly from the get-go. So I've been impressed. We'll see. I mean, it's when the Pats come on, you see what happens. Hope I'm not freezing again. I saw Joe's comment that I'm freezing. So hopefully, at the very least, you can hear me. Seeing me, maybe is not always so important, but I can be frozen in a bad way, so we don't want to hear that. Only X Knives Caldwell. I want to know all you know about his performance so far. I mean, I would say average. I mean, I don't think he's been bad. He hasn't been a superstar. He's what I would expect from him. I mean, he's a guy that still needs some polish. I mean, he's the guy that's a little bit the opposite of Cyrus Allen. He's a little bit maybe the guy that I'm talking about when the Chiefs, when they go into the undrafted free agency, this is the guy that the Chiefs normally go for. The guy with great size, seemingly some great athleticism. I don't know if I'd have to look again at his numbers and say whether I'd call the Jeff Caldwell elite athleticism, elite size for sure. But he's not Cyrus Allen. He's not a ready built receiver. He's got work to do. I mean, I think practice squad's his role for this year. And that's not a knock on him. I mean, it's not very likely. It's not very often that undrafted free agent receivers just make a team out of the NFL, especially a good team like the Chiefs. I mean, there's not a lot. There's not really a spot open. He's would have to fight his way to make this team. And I don't see the spot open for him because he's not going to be a returner also. So that's a position that you can kind of take out of the equation. But he just needs work. He's not terrible. But again, it's kind of like it's to me, it's a lot like Justin Ross, even though I don't compare those two in any way. I mean, I think they're very different people, very different situations, different skill sets, even if they're similar in size. I think they're different situations. But there was a lot of hype on Jeff Caldwell, and he hadn't done anything yet, and that can be a bad thing. And I'm glad that the Chiefs he had a couple of really nice catches during OTAs that the Chiefs video team and everything like that could have just gone wild on, and I'm glad that they didn't, because I think that hurt Justin Ross, because it was Justin Ross. You showed the highlights, you didn't show the drops. You didn't show, Sky Moore showing him where to line up because he was going in the wrong spots. I mean, you take the good and take the bad. You take them both in there. You got the facts of life, people. Yeah, I went there. That's, I think it's a little bit of a disservice. So I'm glad they didn't do that. It's a challenge, but Caldwell, I mean, I think he's fine. Maybe he's going to come, and come in when the vets come in. Maybe he's going to blow your doors off and everything like that. But right now, I mean, I would say that he's kind of, I mean, he would be like a third team wide receiver to me right now with, potential. But I'd be surprised if he's more than that. I mean, if he has ended up being more than just a practice squad wide receiver and somebody that you can develop and see what can turn into, that's what I would expect from him so far. Thank you for the question, as always. Appreciate everybody, because I feel like you're new in Only Knives. If you asked the question before, I apologize, but always let's see new people in here. Yeah, Jesse, you can see Bart better now that I had to adjust the camera during the reset. Oh, now we're going through. Did Liam Neeson take me? I was frozen. Reboot. There I am. I'm moving. We're still here. Yay. We're going to get to a question here pretty soon. Clinton gets us back on it. R. Mason's comment about improving power is concerning to me. No recorded bench from Combine Pro Day makes me think he was advised not to and risk his draft stock. Hope I'm wrong and he good to go. I thought it was notable as well, Clinton, and it didn't scare me because I expected that. I mean, I think you're right. R. Mason's reputation and coming into the league is that of a speed rusher, that he's a guy that just is going to blow by people. He's not going to bully people over. He's not going to body people. He's not necessarily the strongest. And that gets you by in college. You do have to step up your game no matter whom you are once you get to the NFL. And I mean, he's probably learned that immediately. He's probably has now realized that, not only just going up against, I mean, good grief, if he's looking at the muscles that Josh Simmons was sporting during OTAs and thinking to himself, I need to muscle up. Okay, it might be a bad example, but it's still, I mean, a pretty good point that, that's his weakness and he acknowledges it. The fact that he's acknowledging that he knows that that's his weakness, that he's not the strongest guy out there, is a good thing. I mean, if he was saying to himself, I'm good. I'm as strong as I need to be. I got my speed. That's fine. I'd be worried. I mean, the fact that he's like I said, self-aware, I think is a positive. And yeah, I'm sure you're right. The fact that he did not do the bench at Combine Pro Day was probably because his number would have been below expectations and might very well have hurt his draft stock. But again, I mean, you doubled down on your strengths, and his strength was speed. So he showed off and showcased his speed. That's what the Chiefs drafted, was a speed rusher. They know they're not drafting a power guy, but it doesn't mean that you can rest easy once you get to the NFL. I mean, you still have to add to the power. So I heard it too. I wasn't concerned. I took it as a good thing, Clinton, that this is a guy who knows what he needs to get better at. Tyler, I asked this question knowing that family obviously comes first and that it shouldn't even matter if EB is back for training camp or not. But do you anticipate EB back for camp or before the season? Nobody knows, Tyler. And not being flippant or anything. And Emerson, thank you. I'm glad someone mentioning again thoughts and prayers for EB and the family. And I know in the organization, it's their EB. Take your time. Do what you need to do. Take care of everything. Team's going to be there when you come back. And and honestly, I mean, some things I think are overblown, and I'm not entirely sure. I heard the same things as other people did when Andy Reid was talking about who's going to fill in for EB. I don't think anybody's going to fill in for EB. I mean, the reality of it is that the Chiefs have a plan every single day, and they know what that plan is. I mean, Andy Reid knows what, and Eric Bieniemy know what they're going to be working on for the most part on like November 15th. I mean, that's just the way that they're organized. They know what they're doing every single day at camp. I mean, they don't need EB there to tell them. They're going to miss out on some things. I mean, in camp, they would be doing it just like a game. So EB would be calling in the plays on the radio to the quarterback, just like they would do during a season. Somebody else will do that. It sounds like it'll be Joe Blameyer. Who knows? Maybe it'll be somebody else. But the fact that, there was a lot of people saying Joe Blameyer is going to be interim OC. That's not what I heard Andy Reid say. I mean, I heard Andy Reid say Joe Blameyer's pass game coordinator, he's going to coordinate the pass game. Andy Heck, is kind of, even though he doesn't have the title, his title is just offensive line coach, but Andy Reid's always considered Andy Heck the run game coordinator. He's going to coordinate the run game. I mean, they're going to do their own jobs. So, like I said, I mean, there's two aspects of Eric Bieniemy's job. One, calling the plays the quarterback. That's not a problem. If Joe Blameyer does it, great. Somebody else does it, great. That's not an issue. The other part of Eric Bieniemy's job that you can't replicate is his demeanor on the sidelines and his critiques on the field, off the field, in the meeting rooms. This is a guy who holds people accountable, and that's why you brought him back. You brought him back to hold these players accountable, and nobody else is going to provide that. Nobody can provide that. It's what he does that's unique. So you're going to miss that. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, this team's not going to, their organization, their planning, their installation of the offense, none of those things are going to be affected. The thing that they'll miss is EB himself and his personality, his insight, his institutional knowledge, all of those things. You can't replicate those. You can't replace them. I mean, anytime you get him back, it'll be great. That will be what they need. It will help them immensely if it's sooner than later. And knowing EB, I know he wants to be back. I also know he's going to be torn because he wants to be there for his family too. And I hope that he takes all the time that he needs. The Chiefs are going to give him all the time that he needs. And I mean, you can't, to a degree, you just can't worry about it. I mean, when you get him back, it's going to be great because you need him back. But until then, he needs to be where he needs to be. So it's a catch-22 kind of thing. But in this situation, for sure, you lean on letting the guy take care of the things that's most important. It's football. I mean, I hate to say it, pays my bills, but EB doing what he needs to do. So. Nikki, what did you think of the rookies and the pressers? I thought, I didn't think anybody handled it poorly. I thought everyone was pretty good. Like I said, I thought that I was a little surprised about Mansour Delane's presser and some of the things that he said. I thought that he kind of, like I said, I think he kind of showed a little bit of just the early, number 6 overall pick, early cornerback stress in the Chiefs defense and everything, and feeling the pressure. I think he's going to work through that, though. I thought everybody handled themselves really well. R. Mason Thomas is winning me over, man. Dude, that guy just seems like he just exudes football. I mean, smart, thoughtful, all of those things. Peter Woods, I mean, I thought he was really impressive too. He's been, I think, impressive, every time that we've spoken to him. So I see why the Chiefs fell in love with him immediately as far as, off the field too. He's going to fit in really, really well with this team and be a leader. That's another reason why I like Cyrus Allen. Cyrus Allen talking about being a receiver. It's so high football IQ. I mean, he's talking about things that I've never heard rookie receivers talk about. This is not a knock at or a shot at Tyreek, But Cyrus Allen's talking about things that, as a receiver and everything, that Tyreek probably didn't understand until year 3. And Tyreek worked hard. I mean, that was the thing. I mean, but he was not a receiver when he came to Kansas City. I mean, he was learning the position on the fly. And to his credit, I mean, he worked in the offseason to catch up, and he did that to the point where now, I mean, he's like Cyrus Allen. I mean, he's a wide receiver savant. He can do that kind of stuff. But Cyrus Allen's already there. I mean, that guy, I mean, he knows how to play football. He's a smart player. He's been really impressive. I'm even going to get and some of the guys like EJ Smith was a lot of fun. Hearing his story, obviously, and it's just his battles to get where he is right now is really impressive. I'm going to give a huge pass for poor Xavier Wampa. He had the misfortune of having to follow into the tent Andy Reid on Monday, right after Andy had spoken about Eric Bieniemy and answered all those questions. And when Wampa came into the tent, I think that there was a, a divide going on. I mean, because of what Andy had said and spoken about, there was, I imagine, like every one of us at some point was on our phone, sending to someone, tweeting, posting somewhere, everybody in that tent was putting something into a story or posting it or delivering video or whatever have you. And as a result, I mean, Wampa comes in, and I don't think anybody asked a question for 5 seconds at least. It may have been longer than that. And I don't remember. I might have asked the first one. And if I remember correctly, I think the question I asked to him was just like, I was just trying to get a conversation started because I didn't, this poor dude walked in here and we had our attention divided. We had other things that we were all having to do, unfortunately. And I think it ended up being like a minute 38. I mean, he could have talked on any other day and we could have talked to him for 4 or 5 minutes and beyond if Chiefs PR had let us, but he just had the misfortune of coming in at the wrong time. But I thought everybody was pretty good. I mean, and Emmett Johnson is going to be hysterical too. I mean, that dude, I love hearing him talk. I like these guys, Nikki. I'm not going to lie. They're good talkers. And that's what, hey, us as reporters, we love to see. ACC super chat. Thank you very much. You guys are super chats tonight. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. You guys are showing great support. Maybe it's just because I'm still on questions from 7:15. So, you have to jump in line. I'm sorry about that. Any concerns in terms of Mansour's skills so far? I mean, I don't know what to be concerned about with Mansour yet. And like I said, I should tap the brakes until practices are open to the media, until he gets out of the yellow contact jersey. Like I said, I thought it was a little bit up and down during OTAs, and that's to be expected. I don't think there's any concerns about that. I thought he struggled the last 3 days, especially the first 2 days when Mahomes was out there, and I think things were a little bit more leaning towards the 7-on-7 in the passing game. There just looked like some things that either he misread and once again, some of these things that we're seeing, and I'm saying, oh, hey, Mansour looked like he blew the coverage there. It could have been somebody else blew the coverage. I mean, there was one play and the ball did not end up going his direction, but Mansour looked like he, sat down in the zone. Receiver goes right by him. No safety comes over. Maybe that's the safety's fault. It could have been the safety was supposed to pick up that guy, and that Delane was playing the zone underneath, did the right thing, and it was somebody else's fault. He's had some situations where he's gotten beat, but again, I don't know if that's because, hey, the Chiefs may be very well saying to him, play off. We don't want you doing any press man right now. We don't want you doing any bump and run. We want you playing off these guys because, you got the shoulder you're dealing with. You're in the yellow non-contact. So don't do any of these things. That may very well be the case because when I talk to people behind the scenes, I'm hearing more concerns from my fellow reporters about Mansour Delane than I am from people in the organization. So that's telling me that there's a purpose behind it, that he's going to be fine. That's, so I take the longer view on this. Let's see what happens. Let's see as we go. There's a time when every rookie corner struggles, especially playing for Spags and Dave Merritt, because they dump a lot on you. And then my most impressive rookie thus far, until the pads come on, it's been Cyrus Allen. We'll see what happens. Peter Woods might end up, being the most impressive. I mean, maybe it's going to be R. Mason Thomas. I've heard so many good things about Peter Woods that inside this organization that this club thinks that he is going to be great. That it's hard not to buy into it and be on the lookout for it. I mean, I'm definitely going to be watching it when the pads come on, as Nick would say, because we need to see what this guy looks like. But for me, it's Cyrus Allen. I think he looks like I guess I keep saying I'm tapping the brakes, and because I'm as much as I'm a big, obviously have become a fan of Cyrus Allen, I'm impressed at him. I mean, I'm seeing him as a most likely a 200 to 400 yard receiver. Maybe he gets to the 400, 600 yard range. I mean, if he does over 600 yards, he's going to be one of the more successful rookie receivers for Andy Reid. But I feel like this guy, he can be a 400 yard guy year one. I mean, he looks that polished. So if he doesn't, I'll be disappointed. I mean, but again, like I said, it's hard picking up an Andy Reid offense in year one, although this guy really looks like he's doing it. And when this guy is talking about learning the playbook, and not just picking up all three positions on the field, but he's talking about picking up the protections so he can run block. I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, that's some high level stuff we're talking about here. Oh, Folkstone, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Those very, very kind words. I have tried my best. I feel like I've had a couple of good questions that's gotten some good content that people like and everything. And and sometimes I try to ask what I think that people want to know. And, proud is the wrong word, but I was happy with the question that I asked Andy Reid yesterday, because during the Eric Bieniemy press conference, I asked him specifically, he's known Mia Bieniemy for 27 years at least, since EB we played for him in Philadelphia. How did this affect him? How was he feeling? And to speak about Mia, and he gave a true, and he obviously kind of brushed part about past himself, because I know he didn't want to talk about himself, but I felt like it was important to say, hey, coach, are you doing okay? And he said, hey, I'm good. And then immediately went into, hey, she's a saint. And then the reasons why, and spoke about her. And, because I think it's, in this case, it was really important. And we needed to know, because, I mean, the Bieniemy family's always been pretty quiet, and especially about the kids. You don't really hear a lot about the kids. And Eric hasn't always talked about his wife and everything. I mean, they've been very, protective of their privacy. So I don't think that a lot of people know some of the things that Mia Bieniemy does, and, being a caretaker for their oldest son and all these things. And when Andy was talking about her being a saint, if you know some of her backstory, it really makes sense. So I was glad that gave him an opportunity to talk about her and share, how his feelings for her and how much, he respects her and everything like that, because that's how this organization feels. So I was glad that I was glad my question gave him an opportunity to do that. And it wasn't just all about football and how it was affecting the team and when's EB going to be back, but let's talk about the victim here. Let's talk about, Mia, because she's the one that this is really all about. On the Brown, thank you. That is incredibly kind. Yes, everyone, please click the like button if you don't mind. I'm the Brown has ordered you to. I won't order you to. I will just ask you nicely to hit the like button, hit the bell. I'm told by other, I guess, content creators, I guess that's what I am, that sometimes you have to hit unsubscribe and resubscribe and hit the bell, and then unclick the bell and hit the bell again. I don't know how it all works, but those things apparently help you learn about the show and when we've got new videos coming up and everything. And we have had all the press conferences up. The Andy Reid audio yesterday was terrible. I felt bad about that. Normally, Andy takes his time before he comes into the tent, but yesterday he came in like the moment that practice ended, and so my microphone wasn't on the podium, so that was kind of an unforced error, but you were still able to hear it well enough, so sorry about that. But so far we've gotten them all, and we're going to have some more videos coming up. I'm really excited about it. Nikki, thank you very much. I'm sorry that I missed all of you as well. I'm sorry I missed all of you. It was a week from heck last year, but we've survived, and we're back, and we're moving on with camp. Patrick Mahomes 67. What about Patrick's knee injury of him being cleared? I mean, he's cleared. He's out there. He's practicing. I mean, I see no restrictions. I mean, does he fiddle with his, the brace every once in a while? Yeah, but that's what you do when you got a brace. I mean, they don't stay in place. I joked earlier today that I mean, I almost would take money that at some point during training camp that Mahomes is going to get annoyed and just take the brace off and chuck it off to the side, and then I'm sure that Rick Burkholder and company will surround him and tie it back onto him. But he looks fine. I see no issues whatsoever, no restrictions. And based on what we heard over the weekend, I have seen over the weekend, I just don't see that there's going to be any restrictions on him at all. I mean, I think they're just going to let him fly. So, Alex, is it true our Mason Thomas could be the starter? I mean, anything's possible. I mean, I would say this. I mean, if let's say our Mason Thomas is the starter in week 1, I think my concern would be that if he's the starter, it means that Ashton Gillotte has probably disappointed. And that's not a knock on our Mason Thomas. It's just simply that, he has a very specific skill set. And as we were mentioning in the earlier question, I mean, he needs to get better at some things. He needs to get stronger. He needs to mature a little bit physically and everything before he, I think, is an every down player. Right now, our Mason Thomas, I think, is a pass rush specialist. And so that means, I mean, he's going to be on the field in a lot of pass rush situations. And early on, that may even mean that it's just like exclusively third down, maybe second and longs. I mean, end of game situations, we'll end of half situations, whenever a team's in a throw mode situation. That's when I think you would see him. I mean, our Mason Thomas coming into the league right now, run defense is not his strength. So setting the edge in the run, not what he does. That will come. And when he's talking about getting stronger, that's what he's talking about. So to me, when people are talking about, hey, our Mason Thomas could be a starter, I mean, it would be great for the Chiefs, be great for our Mason Thomas if that's the case, because he is that good. He's that guy that he comes in and he blows the doors off everybody. He can play the run. He's spectacular. That he is legitimately your second best edge player. And that being the key phrase, because often we talk about edge rushers. Well, there's more to playing the edge than rushing the quarterback. You got to set the edge against the run too. And right now, Ashton Gillotte's better at that. Ashton Gillotte's a different style pass rusher too. I mean, they've got some similarities, and our Mason Thomas is faster. I mean, there's reasons. There are reasons why I think he's going to be on the field on every single third down play. Could he be the starter? Yes. I just fear that the scenario where our Mason Thomas is starting early in the season is that Ashton Gillotte is hurt, or Ashton Gillotte has not taken a step forward, and maybe even taken a step backwards, because at this point he should be better than our Mason Thomas. And if our Mason Thomas has passed him up by the end of camp, like I said, I mean, I would love to be able to say that that's because our Mason Thomas has just blown the doors off, but I think that it's much more likely scenario that Ashton Gillotte has not performed, and that's not what the Chiefs need. I mean, they need both those guys. They need everybody to meet or exceed expectations. Rebecca, how is the vibe so far? How are you feeling about the vibe at camp? It's a tricky one, Rebecca, because I thought the first 2 days were pretty great. I mean, if anything, it felt like days of old, because you heard EB's voice out there, and it was great. I mean, people, sometimes we make it out to be like a cartoon or a caricature that EB's just out there yelling finish and all these things, but there is such a purpose to everything that man does on the field. And hearing the critiques and hearing him call things out and everything those first 2 days of camp, I mean, like I said, it was a throwback to the old days when you would hear these things from EB. And even more so because I talked to several people over the weekend that felt like he was more vocal on the field the first 2 days than he was the last time that he was OC. And, when he was in Kansas City before, he was, I thought, much more vocal as a running backs coach than he was as OC. Didn't mean he wasn't vocal as OC. It's just that he was constantly chattering with his running backs when he was running backs coach. I thought he was more reserved as an OC, and I think that might have just been a little bit of, he's trying to play the OC future head coach guy. And I mean, I have felt like watching EB, in Chicago last year, and even since he came back and he did his first Zoom was last, I think, back in March or April. I felt like this has been an EB that's just so much more comfortable in what he's doing. I don't think he's trying to be anybody but himself. I think he's just trying to be who he is, and that's what I think that's what EB needs to do. And I think that's what the Chiefs need. And it was very refreshing to hear and to see that on Saturday and Sunday. Monday, when he was absent, it was a much more subdued practice. I mean, I say that even though obviously these were mostly first year players out there, so these guys haven't known EB very long. Defensive guys don't really know EB probably at all for the most part. So it was easy to say, okay, well, it's the coaching staff, it's the people who've worked with EB, it's all these support people, everybody else. There was just the kind of I thought like a little bit of a gloom over camp on Monday. But I tell you what, they did a couple of 7-on-7 periods, and the second 7-on-7 period was goal line situation, just like it had been all three days. And in that second 7-on-7 in the goal line period, those players were getting after each other. They were screaming, they were cheering. I mean, when one side made a play, they were cheering for their teammates on the sideline, vice versa. When the other side made a play, they were getting fired up. And I don't know if somebody said something. I don't know if somebody on the sideline was trying to gin them up or anything, or there was a ringleader behind it. But they just kind of fired themselves up a little bit. That was the first and pretty much only sign that day that you saw that, okay, this is popping. There's that vibe back again. So I'll be really intrigued to see what happens on Wednesday. I think you hope that the enthusiasm of the fans will bring it in and kind of get the players past any EB concerns. I think that the atmosphere alone, I mean, usually season ticket holder days, they do those. It's a packed house. They got to the rafters, so hopefully they'll be able to feed off the fans on Wednesday and kind of recapture that, because I think the vibe at camp, I mean, like I said, until Monday, I thought it had been exceptional. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to comment there. I appreciate I was reading the comment. I knew it was just for everybody. It wasn't really a question, but sorry about that. Let's see. Where are we going? Oh, Mr. Larry Johnson, too. How much weight have you lost in the St. Joe Heat so far? What changes do you see coming to training camp with EB's sudden departure to focus on family? Didn't weigh in today, so I don't know. They do feed us, and it's probably a high fat diary at camp, so it's probably not doing great for me. I mean, we did have chicken yesterday, so that was good. But I also had, two. I mean, they were short cobs, but I did have two pieces of corn on the cob, so there's that. Although I have joined in the Jesse Newell No Dessert Challenge, so I am trying to avoid that during camp. I mean, you probably noticed that I am having a Dr. Pepper tonight to get me through, so haven't been great on the diet. I know from the beginning of camp, I lost more weight last week, so I haven't probably lost much weight during camp. Right now I'm just trying to maintain where I was last week. But what changes? I honestly don't expect a lot of changes as the way camp goes. I mean, the Chiefs are going to do what they do. They knew what they were going to do. They have a schedule. They know the plan, so that doesn't change with EB not being here. What I say changes is that what they're going to miss. It's going to be that the feedback from him on the field, the accountability on the field that he was bringing. They have meetings every single night where they go over, the coaches and the front office guys get together and they go over that day, and they've all looked at the film and they go over, hey, who had a good day, who had a bad day, who needs to move up, who needs to move back. They're going to miss him in those conversations because EB's, I mean, he's an expert in these areas. I mean, so when it comes to his feedback on the offense and which running backs are doing well, which offensive linemen are playing well, I mean, I trust EB. I mean, his voice is important in those conversations. So they're going to miss that. I mean, knowing EB and knowing the Chiefs, I'm assuming this guy is going to be watching practice film from St. Joe on his iPad every single day, or his Microsoft Surface, or whichever one. I think for promotional purposes, they all say it's Microsoft Surfaces, but I think there's a bunch of iPads running around too. He's going to be watching film. He's going to be doing it and everything, and trying to keep up. And again, we don't know when he's going to be back. And honestly, I mean, it's doesn't matter. It's maybe do your thing. If you're back in a couple of weeks, great. If you're back at the beginning of the season, great. If you're back in week 8, great. I mean, it's whatever he needs is what he needs at this point. So I know that's where the Chiefs are too. So um, I think he'll be back sooner than later, just because it's EB, and he wants to be in both places at the same time. And I'm certain that once he feels like that his wife's in a place where he feels like he can leave and that she has support and people around her to take care of her, then he will probably come back, because I know how important football is to him. But I also know that I can't even possibly relate being in the situation that he is now. And thankfully, hopefully very, very few, if any of us, can relate to that. Big Daddy, any fantasy football advice? Generally do the opposite of whatever I say. I'll tell you what, the greatest thing I did was when I stopped playing fantasy football. Gosh, it was probably about 6 or 7 years ago. Because I mean, my knowledge, I'm trying in my job, I'm trying to, know this team down to 30,000 feet, below sea level. I'm trying to know it all. My knowledge about the rest of the NFL is, I guess, I should have gone with the better analogy, that's a mile wide and an inch deep. So only thing I can tell you is about the team that's right in front of me. And I mean, I don't even know how good this team's fantasy wise is going to be. I mean, defense is probably going to be worse than it was last year, is my expectation. I think the offense is going to be a lot better, but yeah, you don't want to hear, my advice and everything, because it's I don't play fantasy football anymore, so I'm out of the game, and it's such a relief. I tell you what, not having to stress in the press box. Not that the Chiefs play a lot of noon games anymore, but when I was like in the press box and it's like the national anthem, and I'm thinking, oh man, I forgot to see if so and so is playing this week, because I was too busy trying to figure out who the Chiefs inactives were to figure out, whether or not, Derrick Henry's playing for the Titans this week or not, or the Ravens, or whomever he was on that week. I'm going back to 6-7 years ago. So yeah, don't take my advice. Nikki, when will you post the film? You know what? I do have some film from over the weekend that I have not posted yet from practice. It's not very exciting, because the only thing that they let us shoot during the week, or during the closed practices, is just stretch. So it's mostly just guys jogging around. There's a little bit of individual drills. So I got a little bit of the quarterbacks and running backs, some wide receivers from a long way away. But I do have some of that I can post. I would like to get that up on a file for you all, and I will send it out to the members first. But we will we have better shooting opportunities over the next few days, so hopefully I'll get a little bit more of that. I'm trying to see if I can get an intern to help me shoot some video. There's just some rules that I have to get through there and everything. But I have someone that can shoot some video for me. I just don't know if I can get the permission for them to shoot the video. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, Big Daddy, you're talking about fantasy football punishments. Any good ideas? I see. I think that most of my leagues that I played in, the punishments were, for finishing last, was punishment enough, because you pretty much, then just with the butt of every single joke the rest of the year. I mean, everybody picked on you for finishing last and everything. We were probably bullies, so I guess that's probably in retrospect a bad thing. But man, I don't know. I don't know if I have any good ideas. I've seen, obviously, there's some pretty good ideas out there that have been done. I wish I had a really good one for you, though. I don't know. I mean, I understand it needs to have a little humiliation to it, but I wouldn't want to be too humiliating. The one that if that was real, which I still assume it's not real, but if that one that was real, where they managed to like convince the guy to break up with his girlfriend, um, that went too far. So just keep it, just keep it, keep it chill. That's all I say. Yes, Nikki, thank you very much for appreciate you. I'm DeBrown, Brian, everyone, always reminding people to hit the like button. That greatly appreciate that, because people helps people find the show and the videos. Yay! I mean, I'm assuming that was my thought too, Nikki, was like, okay, I mean, we do every once in a while get a blizzard in Kansas City. It's happened. I mean, it's not like it happens every year. It might only happen like every 20 or 25 years. I just wonder what happens the first time that we get one of those 12-inch snowfalls or something, and and the winds whipping across. I know they've thought about that. I know they're smarter than I am, so I'm assuming it's no big deal, and I'm assuming that light's not going to come through that translucent window and fry ants on the field or anything, or give people sunburns. I'm assuming it all makes sense, but I have questions too, Nikki. I absolutely have questions. Caleb, thoughts on Peter Wood and R. Mason Thomas? I'll admit, Caleb, I'm still holding the judgment to see what these guys look like, particularly when the pads come on. I mean, 11 on 11 helps and everything. We'll see. They got 4 practices coming up in the next 4 days. None of them are padded practices. They have 4 days in shell spiders, that kind of thing. Then Sunday, off day. Monday, August 3rd is going to be the first day in pads. So that's going to be Christmas morning for Nick Jacobs and company and everybody like that. It's going to be the first day that we really get to see any of this. And I was talking with someone on the staff yesterday. I was just like, I mean, and it was in regards to Peter Wood, because I just said, hey, I've been hearing that everybody in the organization is really excited about him, and that was the consensus back, was that he looks like the real deal. And it's just like, I mean, I have a hard time judging that without the pads on, without them being able to be physical and put their hands on each other and everything. I mean, I know that the coaches see the drills and they see a lot more work, and they're getting 8-10 hours a day of work that they get to see. I get an hour and 45 minutes of offensive, defensive line guys having to play patty cake out there. So we'll see when the pads come on. But I tell you what, Peter Wood looks authoritative on the field. He looks like he knows what he's doing. He's a big size guy. He's a player. So I if I had to bank it right now on just what I'm hearing from people in the organization, you're going to be happy with both these guys. We'll just have to see about it together once these guys get on the field. And it's hate to keep saying the pads come on, but that's the judge. That's the metric. Nikki, thoughts on FAU? He was on the field. He was one of the injured guys who came in and was out there this weekend. I don't know how much to take away from it. Again, like I said, judging defensive line in this situation, even more so in this kind of practice period and existence, because no 11 on 11. There's only scrimmage periods were 7 on 7. So with the defensive lines, really, the only thing that you got to see were like install periods, some group periods where, the defensive line and linebackers are working in together and tangent, and some individual work with the defensive line. So it was, I'd have to say I got an incomplete reading on these particular players. So we'll get a better reading within the next week for sure. But like I said, I think it would have to be incomplete. I haven't seen a ton of difference with FAU this year compared to last year, but again, that was a hamstring that he missed with last year, but it was a bad hamstring. So I don't fault him on that one. I mean, I've heard how nasty that hamstring was. It was not. I mean, there was no chance of him coming back last year. I mean, there was a reason why it was out for the entire season. So. But again, my only concern and fear for FAU, and to a degree, maybe he benefits somewhat from the Ethan Downs injury, because R. Mason Thomas, Ethan Downs, Felix, they're all kind of the same size guy. I mean, they're kind of similar positions. I mean, R. Mason Thomas is probably a more fully developed FAU than when FAU came out of college. Remember, he was a late bloomer, still a young guy, but he was such a late bloomer. really kind of, developed late in high school. Even in the college, he was still kind of growing into becoming a edge player. So we'll see. But I mean, I still think that, Felix would be in that fourth or fifth spot on the depth chart, and that's reachable. I mean, that's where he's a lot closer to being in competition for a job on the 53 than he is for taking, a starting job or taking the top rotational piece jobs. And probably even more so because, I mean, he's going to be behind R. Mason Thomas. He could have been behind Ethan Downs, although obviously now there's a chance for him to move up there. And if the Chiefs do have like a semi-permanent speed rusher, 9 tech type of player, then, Felix could maybe be the backup for that. That would, I think, be his best opportunity. Joe, I'm going to go back to you. I believe I've got a super chat from I'm the Brown. Yes. Thank you very much. As always, hate the camp cuts come all at the end of camp. If a DN from another team got cut early, like the old days, you might have some depth options. Yeah, I'm a, every team kind of did it differently too. I'm the Brown because, when you did those early cuts and, I'm trying to remember the numbers. You go from 90. I think the first round of 75, maybe, I guess it was. And it was a catch-22. I mean, going down to 75, oddly enough, all of a sudden just really made things feel really short. Even like the bench for like preseason games and those final couple of preseason games, it just made it feel pretty short. And obviously now, I mean, these days when we see teams that just are not playing a lot of starters, not just quarterbacks, but even sometimes they're starting entire lineups. You couldn't do that with 75 players. I mean, you couldn't do that unless these rosters were still fully at 90. And it just seemed like, hey, when you did those first 75 cuts, maybe there were a couple that were teams being kind to veterans or being kind to players that they knew who could play in the league, but they were letting them go so maybe they could find and catch on a job elsewhere. But I think that the other thing about it too is just that the practice squad rules now, the way that they've liberated those, I think it helps balance it all out. I mean, I as much as it still, stinks having to track 90 players all the way to the cut down and how chaotic that cut down week is now. Now, granted, I mean, they've done a couple of things. One, they've pushed that forward. So you're not cutting players on Saturday and then, everybody shows up to practice on Monday. I mean, they've given you more room in there. So there's not that truly chaotic 2 or 3 days of just nonsense. But now, like you talked about having some depth. Well, now that you can have those 6 veterans on the practice squad, you kind of can do that now. I mean, used to it was just the 10 practice squad players and they all had to be, first or second year players. Now that you know that you can get those 6 veterans of any experience on your practice squad, I mean, that actually helps quite a bit. And I mean, it helps knowing that you can even keep some of your own guys. It's not even just about picking up some depth from other teams. You can keep your own depth a little bit better than you used to be able to. Like I said, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. I think in the long run, I think the teams like it a little bit better. I don't think the agents like it as well. It definitely makes those few days when the cuts start coming chaotic. The earlier that teams start making cuts, the better. But then again, it's also goodness gracious. I mean, the Chiefs, when they have been doing their early games, when they've been playing games on like Thursday and Friday night, last year was a great example. The final 90 player cut came on a day when they had a practice day. So the Chiefs, I mean, the cut down deadline was their practice day going into week 1. And so now you're like, okay, they're going to have to cut guys. When the deadline was 3:00, you practice at 1:15. You're not going to be done with practice possibly until after the deadline. So, now you got to probably, make your cuts before practice. Well, what if a guy got hurt in practice now? I mean, and if I'm not mistaken, the Chiefs have had that a couple of times now. And if I'm not mistaken, I think one year they did all their cuts before practice. And that one year, I think they did half and half, and they, we didn't get to stay out there for practice because it was a week 1 practice at that point, so we didn't get to stay out there for the whole time. I don't know if they had some guys come off the field during practice. It was like, okay, well, we're going to cut this guy, because once you start practice and you know who's out there on the field. I mean, that one year, I mean, we knew who made the team when practice started because the team was out there. So I get it, and like I said, it does create some chaos and everything like that. But I feel like I said, the practice squad changes, I think, have helped out a lot with that too. Let's see. I may be lost here, but John, Matt, with the commitment to the run game and questions around the tight end room, are the Chiefs considering bringing back the fullback role? I don't think so. I mean, the only thing that would possibly make me think that's even a possibility is the existence of Jaden Ott. He looks like a fullback. I mean, maybe not quite as big. He's like, what? I think he's listed at 5'11", 208, might be 210. Might be generous. But no, I mean, at this point, it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like the Chiefs have. I mean, they don't have a fullback. And even when they had Carson Steele around, he wasn't really a fullback. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how they end up using Jaden Ott, and if that's like a consideration, then maybe he's a guy that can make the team. But they've been pretty comfortable, obviously, with using tight ends in that pseudo fullback role. Here's the thing. I mean, if the Chiefs have a fullback on the roster, his name is probably Peter Wood. I don't know that they're going to use him a lot in those situations, and it may simply be that if they ever put Peter Wood in the backfield, it's either as a decoy or it's a guy to just give the ball to. But that's an option. I mean, he's played running back, fullback in college at Clemson, so that maybe is your secret weapon at fullback. I think that would be the most likely. I know Chiefs fans, I think, would love to see that. I mean, going back to the Dontari Poe days, and tell you what, I mean, Peter Wood might have some Dontari Poe in him as far as that athleticism goes and ability to do some things. And yeah, I mean, if you were to put the number of touches for Peter Wood out of the backfield this year at 0.5, I am hammering the over. Probably put the mortgage on it. I think he's going to get at least a touch this year, maybe more than one. Danny, did you ever arrive first at camp this week? No, Danny, I did not. Yeah, it was. I'm not gonna. It was a rough week. I did oversleep one day, which was not. That's not. I mean, that was a total Carter Jensen. Total Carter Jensen. I did arrive before practice started, so I was on time. So that's not a total loss, but it was embarrassing. One day, I started driving to the Chiefs facility at the stadium rather than St. Joe, which are in two opposite directions for me. Not great. And then I missed my exit in St. Joe. Not great. And then I took an L on Saturday because I did go to Chick-fil-A, which was about 10 minutes out of my way. And yeah, I was about 10 minutes, away from being like first one there. So had I not gone to Chick-fil-A, I would have been there early, and not necessarily the first, but at least early enough to not be embarrassed and not have Jesse Newell calling me out online, which is good. I mean, I need people to hold me accountable, and if Jesse Newell is going to be my Eric Bieniemy, I am absolutely fine with that. But I need some victories. I'm not going to lie. I don't even know where Tootie is, Donald. I'm not sure about that one. Hey, in Ohio? I don't know. Appreciate the question, though. A couple of weeks ago, you ranked wide receivers and had Cyrus Allen above Royals. I know the Chiefs like to keep their draft picks forever, but is there a chance they drop Royals to the practice squad? There's a chance. It's going to depend on just how well he performs. And when you put a player on waivers, that the only catch is that you have the chance of losing him. So it's not just as easy as moving a Jalen Royals to the practice squad. You got to put him on waivers, in which case every team in the league gets a chance to claim that player. And I guess the question would be, has Jalen Royals shown anybody enough to claim him off of waivers? you never know. I mean, there could be a team that liked him coming out and would take him in a heartbeat. It maybe there's going to be some, maybe all those teams that did like him are going to say, oh, it hasn't really worked out with the Chiefs yet and hadn't done anything, so maybe not. You're right. I mean, it's not a risk that the Chiefs usually like to take in the first 2 or 3 years with players, especially unless it's, they've had some. I mean, famously, they, waived Najee Johnson his rookie year. He was a 7th round pick, though. He cleared waivers. He came back and, ended up on the 53 later in the season. Rare for, a player like where they drafted Royals in the 4th round, just last year to waive him. I mean, usually, I was gonna say, thinking the Brett Veach era, I'm trying to remember if they've ever. There was Kamal Hadden, who was a total. That was he had a red flag on the Giants draft board in Hard Knocks for a reason. Let's just put it that way. And the Chiefs found that out and walked away pretty quickly. So. Trying to think if there's been anybody else that the Chiefs have walked away from in their first 2 years. It's not really ringing a bell in the Brett Veach era. I know it happened under Dorsey. They had a couple. Maybe there's maybe somebody that I'm just not thinking about under Veach, and maybe the 2017 draft. There might be. Well, even that's what I guess the 2017 draft was still Dorsey. So maybe the 18 draft, there might have been somebody. But you're right. They don't like to walk away from players until Cornell Powell. I guess you're right, Jimmy. That was, but I'm trying to remember, was Cornell a Dorsey pick or was he a Veach pick? I'm trying to remember which year he was. I think he might have been. He had to have been a Veach pick, I guess. But you're right. First couple of years, Brett Veach does not like to give up on players. So I think that there would have to be something extraordinary happen this year. But they've got some competition, so it's possible. Rebecca, is it tomorrow that they all report? All players reported yesterday. Was the day. That's when all the veterans reported, was on Monday. Today, Tuesday, was an acclimation day under the collective bargaining agreement. So no practice or field work today. It was all meetings and medical tests. They're getting their exams. The only field work per se that they were allowed to do, they can do the conditioning, so they could do the conditioning test today. That's it. So they all should be there. Everybody who's reporting should be there in theory. Like I said, today's acclimation day with just meetings and that kind of thing. Tomorrow, football for real practice, 9:15. If you don't have your tickets yet, you need to be a season ticket member to go and claim them online and everything. But then Thursday's the first open public for real, 9:15. Go Real Biz. I'm probably butchering that, but I do like the username and appreciate the greeting. I hope all is well. Just wanted to know the feeling of how the linebackers will hold up. The linebacker position is one that's going to be interesting too, because the only thing I know for sure is Nick Bolton's going to be your starter at middle linebacker. Drew Tranquil's going to be your weak side linebacker. I think Cooper McDonald is going to be your first guy up on the strong side linebacker, is replacing Leo. I don't know if he's going to be the full complete replacement for Leo, because I think that there's going to be some situations where the Chiefs might go with a safety in the box in that situation. I know there was some talk that maybe if Ethan Downs had made the team and been healthy, that maybe he fills in a little bit of that role. But the Chiefs really, they viewed and continue to view, Ethan Downs as strictly an edge player. So I never really saw that as being a possibility. Remember, Leo played 50% of the snaps, even as a starter in the 4-3 base. So is Cooper McDonald going to play all those snaps? Is he going to play 50% of the snaps? I don't know. Is he going to take some and is he going to share that with a Jack Cochran? We'll see too about the makeup of this team. Jeff Bossa might be one of those players that's also on kind of the bubble a little bit of, making this team. Cam Arnold is a second-year linebacker. He's here. He's going to be he's interesting because he's a tweener as well. He used as a safety that was converted to linebacker. But I think he's got a lot of skills too, and especially as a coverage kind of guy, and somebody that can play in some pass situations. It's linebacker is going to be interesting. It really is, because I think that they've, outside the top two, I think they got a lot of questions to answer. So I don't know how it's gonna come together, but there'll be some questions, and even guys like Cole Christensen, I think, could end up being in the mix depending on which direction this team wants to go. In OTAs, I mean, they really seem to lean towards the veterans a little bit more. So I don't know what that means for sure, but it's going to be something to play out and something to watch during camp for sure. Let's see. Yeah, Eric Fowler and Rappaport both reported the Chiefs are thrilled with Peter Woods. Is that coming from the team? Do you buy it or just camp talk? I'm hearing the same thing from people with the team, so I can confirm that. I mean, it's I know people are not putting their names next to things right now, and nobody's spoken publicly. We'll see. We will get to hear from. We'll see how the Chiefs handle it. Usually, I think, if not mistaken, Brett Veach just kind of had the practice of putting up both of his kind of number two guys, with Chris Shea and gosh, why am I blanking on? Oh my goodness, I feel so terrible. He's gonna hate me forever. I'm having one of my old man moments here and everything. Why am I completely blanking? My goodness, I'm terrible. I can even see his face. I mean, you all know, I've been around for a while. You know how terrible I am at names and faces and everything like this. So no one should be surprised that I'm like, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, Ryan Nutt. We might hear from Ryan and from Chris Shea during camp. I would hope for that would be great. Then we get kind of the front office take on Peter Wood. But hey, we'll probably hear it from Joe Cullen at some point during camp, and that'll be when we get to hear from a little bit more of him and Spags, then we'll know for sure. But no, it's real. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I'm hearing the exact same things, that the Chiefs are thrilled with what they've seen from Peter Wood so far. So it's stay tuned. We'll see when we all get a chance to look at him for real and with the pads on. We'll see what everybody has to say. Rebecca, do the players stay at camp for the entire period without going home? No. If you look at the schedule for training camp, anytime there's a day off, players pretty much are allowed out of there probably about by 1 or 2 o'clock after lunch. They practice in the morning. They'll do their recovery. I think there may be a team meeting, before lunch or after lunch. But man, it's for teams like about 3 o'clock. That campus is a ghost town. They get out of there. So yes, they are allowed to go home on their off days. So when they have an off day in the camp schedule, they go back home. And a little bit different when that off day is before a travel day. They'll usually go back home, but then they also end up traveling the next day to wherever the road game is. So that's not a quick stop, but then coming back from the road game or back, when they're done with a home game for preseason game, then they're going to be, be able to stay the night at home. They get a few nights back with the families and everything, and back in Kansas City throughout camp. So not a ton of days. That's probably 5 or 6 all told. I have to go back and look at everything like that at the schedule, but they get in a month, they get like 5 or 6 days, probably back at 5 or 6 nights back at home in their own beds and everything like that. And probably be on the safe side. They should come back to camp the night before practice, but I do know players who have come back the morning of. And when practice is at 9:15 and you live in Kansas City and you got to be in St. Joe and have, uniform on and everything and be ready to go, doesn't matter how fast your sports car is, you probably better leave early. That's all I'm saying, Frank Clark. I didn't say that out loud. Forget about that. John, thoughts on Omar Norman Lott injury progress? Is he behind schedule or where the Chiefs anticipated? I would say he is probably where the Chiefs anticipated, not where the Chiefs hoped, but also not behind schedule. So it's kind of right there in the meaty middle part of it, John. I mean, the rosy expectation for Omar Norman Lott that was that maybe he could get on the field at the very end of OTAs, maybe even during the veteran minicamp, mandatory minicamp, and then maybe be limited heading into training camp. Right now, I mean, he's still on PUP. He still has not taken the field yet, didn't get on the field during the minicamp. So how quickly will he get back? I mean, Andy Reid made it sound like it was going to be a little bit of time, but not like entirety of camp. So it certainly sounds like that they're still hoping that he'll get out there before the end of training camp and go from there. As Rick Burkholder will tell you, and all athletic trainers, every knee is different, and every player situation is different. I mean, Omar Norman Lott's a big guy. I mean, even though Mahomes had his ACL in December, Omar Norman Lott had his ACL in October. I mean, when you're putting that amount of pounds and pressure on a knee, you saw it with Charles Omenihu. I mean, he's a similar type size guy with as Omar Norman Lott was. He was almost right at, I think, 11, 12 months when he got back on the field from his injury. And it takes longer with big guys. So never a real surprise. I mean, to me, the expectation was that if you got Omar Norman Lott back on the field and ready to play by October, that was probably a reasonable expectation. Anything later than that would probably be later than anticipated. Anything earlier than that's gravy. So if Omar Norman Lott's ready for week one, I think you consider that a win. I also think the Chiefs are not necessarily in a situation where they need to accelerate things. They don't have to push him. I mean, they would like to be able to have Omar Norman Lott, but I think they've got enough depth there and that they can survive. I mean, I don't think that they don't want to necessarily play a whole season without Omar Norman Lott, but I think they could handle just being patient with him at this point. They don't need to push him. Jimmy's wants me to speculate. Why wait 11 days? We're reporting that your head coach was in a major auto accident. I don't know. I mean, to a certain degree, I mean, if teams were allowed to, I mean, they would never report anything. Certainly there are times when they don't, and there are times when they've been able to do it and just never get caught or called on it. That is a situation, though, that, I mean, eventually you're going to have to tell everybody because, hey, if your head coach is not there because he's recovering from injuries or he's got, arm in a cast or scratches or broken ribs or whatever's going on, I mean, you're going to have to explain it eventually. I guess, once again, it just goes back to, some teams being better at others than at leaking. I guess if Kyle Shanahan had worked for ESPN, we would have known 11 days earlier that he was in a major auto accident. PR would have told us, or PR would have told Outkick or The Athletic. I don't know. Just me trying to be hilarious here. Hopefully somebody thought that was as funny as I did. Yeah, I can't explain that one. No, I mean, once again, just NFL teams. It is the end all be all of NFL teams in every department of their buildings, whether it's communications, whether it's coaches, front office, their DNA, it's in their DNA to just simply don't tell anybody anything and try to hide as much as possible. And there's probably somebody in the 49ers front office that said, why tell everybody that Kyle Shanahan's been in an auto accident before we have to? It's a strategic advantage. I have no idea how, but I guarantee you someone in that building said that. PM67 about Mahomes. Do you think he will make a comeback week one? Yeah, I mean, Mahomes is going to play week one. I'll be stunned. If he does not, it's because there has been a totally unanticipated, out of the blue setback. But no, he's playing week one. Tom, anyone asked Spags if he sees using Snead like he used Kendall Fuller in 2019? We haven't had a chance to talk to Spags since they brought back L'Jarius, but I anticipate that I think you're on the right track as how they may end up using Snead. And, and maybe that's we talked about during OTAs that, all indications were that, maybe they were going to use Chamari Connor as a full-time strong safety and a little bit more in the box. Entirely possible still. But, I could also see the Chiefs kind of maybe playing a little bit, whether they're probably more likely in some dime looks, but even in some nickel situations, I think I could see them playing with Snead on the field, and maybe he's in the slot. I don't think he's going to be flat, straight up safety type, although it's possible. But I think you're going to see Snead. My guess is you're going to see him more as a nickel type player, maybe playing exclusively in the slot. Maybe he just is a player who only comes in in nickel situations. Maybe he's going to play strictly corner, but he's just going to come in nickel spots. Maybe somebody else kicks inside, but I think it would probably end up being Snead that would probably play the slot. If he makes the team, I think that's the role that he's in. I mean, I could see him, and when you're talking about using like Kendall Fuller, what I think stood out about that most with Kendall was, Spags' ability to put Kendall on one side, Tyrann Mathieu on the other, and be able to basically mirror their defense or flip it, immediately on a dime, and disguising what they were doing a little bit. So, Kendall can, they can show Kendall as a slot corner, but then all of a sudden it's like, nope, he's going to slide back and play safety. And now Tyrann's coming up and he's coming into the slot. There's a lot of different options that they could do off of that. So I could see, yes, Snead playing a lot like the way Kendall Fuller did in 19. I could absolutely see it. Yeah, I assumed like Micah Parsons was going to start on the pup list again. I mean, that's just the difference in, knees are different for everybody, and Micah Parsons is a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger dude. So even though I know they, and he was, I guess, hurt earlier, that he was hurt before Mahomes was. Haven't seen a Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz was hurt, had his ACL tear 1 week before Mahomes. I haven't seen if he's starting on the pup list yet. But hey, every knee is different. Every player is different. Positions are different. So you never know. It's hard to compare ACL injuries from player to player, especially at different positions. PM67. I don't know what you should name your fish, but God bless you. Yeah, Rebecca. I mean, the defense is probably going to be worse this year. I mean, chances are, with as much turnover as they have had, it's almost just likely that they're going to take a step backward. The big difference to me, Rebecca, is going to be if their defensive front can be better than it was last year to offset what's bound to be a step back in the secondary. That's about the biggest one. Pete, are you the only one worried about both of their LSU corners? Gosh, this must be me having a brain flash and not always remembering where guys went to college. Man, I'm embarrassed here. Somebody's going to tell me in the comments before I look it up who I'm missing. I'm going through it. I'm trying to remember. Christian Fulton. My goodness, I forgot he went to LSU. Man, that's my catch. That's what I'm weak with. I am the weakest with players who did not start their careers with the Chiefs and where they went to college. I fail that test almost all the time. So, yeah, that one threw me. I'll be honest. I mean, I'm going to give Delane plenty of time because I think he's going to be a good corner. I think he's going to get through things. He is probably, like I said, right now at the point where, especially with the shoulder and slowing him down a little bit, and he's probably got some things in his head about that. I think he's going to be fine. Is he going to be an all-pro year one? I mean, chances are no. Is he going to be really good year one? Chances are yes. I mean, guys can flame out. I mean, there's always can be misses, but the odds are that Delane should be a good player, and he should be a good player out of the box. Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect year one, but I think he's going to be a good player. Is he going to be Trent McDuffie good year one? I mean, probably not. So, that's one of the things to consider. Christian Fulton, I mean, if you got the guy that you had most of last year, especially the end of last year, you're going to be happy with that. He's a solid number two, I think. I mean, not necessarily the best number two in the league, but he's going to be a solid number two. Noel Williams, I think, is going to be a solid number two. So, I think you're pretty good there. Again, you're just not maybe going to be as good as you were last year. I think you would probably end up saying that Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson are a better duo than any two players you're going to come up with for this season. Then again, you may say, hey, the 2027 Chiefs of Delane and Noel Williams was better than McDuffie and Watson. Who knows? Just this year, I think it's going to be a little bit of a step back. Oh, you all crack me up. Some of your jokes really crack me up. I mean, Nikki, I shouldn't say this because it's just me letting my negativity, go through my head and everything like this. And you're saying that the engineers runaway roof. I mean, we are the city of the Hyatt disaster. So I don't want to be thinking like that, Nikki. But yes, I'm with you. I mean, the translucent roof, and getting a foot of snow on it does give me some nerves, especially because we've seen that other places that their roofs didn't always stand up to things that they thought it would. And I understand hurricanes are one thing, but what? The Kingdome had problems. The Metrodome had their roof problems. Exhibition Stadium in Montreal had their dome problems. So, I'm with you. I will probably be nervous whenever I'm in the building, but I hope it works. That's all I'm going to say is that I hope it works. And honestly, I'm probably more afraid of just unintended consequences than anything else. I mean, I think about the Cowboy Stadium and that stupid sun coming in through the side of the building that is just absolutely, I mean, that the Chiefs had such a huge problem with that in 2017, and it was a little bit of a problem for Thanksgiving a couple of years too. So it's a disaster. KUGA 41. I feel like we got a diamond in the rough with Cyrus Allen. Seems like guy's been impressing everyone. You know me, I'm on board there. I feel like he's been best receiver I've seen this team have. Most of the definitely the last few days. And like I said, I had him number 2 in OTAs behind Xavier Worthy. So if he can continue to do that, and if he ends up being their third or fourth best receiver this season, I think that's going to say a lot more about Cyrus Allen. I talk about this like with R. Mason Thomas and Ashton Gelati, whether that's good or bad. If you tell me that Cyrus Allen is third in receiving yards behind as receivers, I'll throw Kelsey out of the mix and even Kenneth Walker. I mean, who knows? Maybe he blows up. If you tell me Cyrus Allen's third leading pass receiver on this team, I think it's going to say more about Cyrus Allen being really, really good. I don't think he's going to be third on this team in receiving yards as a receiver with 200 yards. If you tell me he's number 3, I think it's because he's had a pretty good season. So I am a believer in Cyrus Allen at this point. Let's see. Oh, man. ACC, I think I missed your super chat. I apologize profusely. How's Jaden Canaday in coverage? Really good. He seems like he's already a favorite of Steve Spagnuolo, and looks like everything that you would want in a slot corner. Like the anticipation. Just really impressed with his knack for the ball. He had an interception. I don't have my notes in front of me, but if I remember correctly, I think he had the interception on the play. I think it was on the play where the receiver got tackled. He didn't tackle the receiver, I don't believe, but the receiver went down and he made the interception. If not, I mean, he had another one that was good interception. But I remember in my notes, and it was in the mix with that interception. He had 3 other pass breakups in that same 7-on-7 sequence. Just a really good knack for the football. Really impressed. I mean, at this point, I talked about L'Jarius Sneed making this team as a nickel. And maybe it's, like I said, maybe it's more of a nickel, and maybe he comes in on the inside in some of those situations. I think Jaden Canada's got a really, really good chance to be your starting slot corner this year. Probably, I mean, probably one of the better chances of being a starter of any of the rookies. I mean, if you told me that he was the only true starter in week 1, because like Peter Wood's coming off the bench, R. Mason Thomas is, the third guy at the end. Delane would be the other. I mean, Delane better start. If Delane's not good enough to start, I'm really concerned. But Canada's starting at slot corner. I mean, I think right now, I mean, he would be the guy that I would bet on. It could change because there's a lot of slot corners on this team. They got a lot to choose from and a lot to work through. But I've been really, really impressed with him. So, oh yeah, Jimmy's. I mean, legal would be the number one thing. And, and maybe it was, hey, certainly, maybe they just want to make sure Kyle was okay. I mean, for all I know, maybe he's in the hospital for 11 days and they just want to make sure he was okay. Legal reasons, yeah, could there could be a million different reasons. I always assume that whenever an NFL team doesn't tell us anything, though, it's because they're trying to hide something. But that may be because I'm cynical. Jaden's, any word about Christian Wilkins to the Chiefs? I haven't heard that one in a while. Are there still anybody that's connected to Christian Wilkins? Because that just seems like it's done. Like, nope, never gonna happen. So I think I could safely bet Christian Wilkins will not be coming to the Chiefs. So I could be wrong, but I feel I can be pretty safe on that one. Nikki, any news on Bo Nix's injury? I do not have any news. I have not. Once again, this goes back to my, hey, I try to be a mile deep and an inch wide. No, I'm trying to be a mile deep and a mile wide when it comes to my Chiefs coverage. The rest of the league, yeah, it's an inch deep. So I have not seen very many. I know all the teams are supposed to be in camp now. I have not heard about Bo Nix and whether he's on the PUP list or not. I'm assuming he's not, but who knows? If anybody else knows, feel free to throw it in the comments there. I have not heard about Bo, but I mean, that was a pretty nasty injury too, so it wouldn't surprise me and I know he was slowed down during the offseason, so maybe he is on the PUP list. The Joe, besides Mahomes, what player Chiefs cannot lose to injuries this year? I've thought about this one, Joe, and because I get asked it every once in a while, and I mean, it's hard because I think, there's maybe a half dozen guys that you could choose, and I think you could make a compelling case for them. I mean, I think you could make a compelling case for Rashee Rice. I think you could make one for Xavier Worthy. I mean, they need these receivers. They need a full complement. They can't afford injuries at that spot. So I think they're not my choices, but I think those are players that you can make a case for. My number 3 is probably Kenneth Walker, because I think that dude is just going to be that important to what the Chiefs want to get done, which is to make teams respect the run game. It's an entire, hey, if Kenneth Walker went down and you had to lean on a combo of Emmett Johnson and Amari DeMarcado as kind of a little two-headed backs, running back by committee system, you know what? It might actually do well. I mean, maybe it would really surprise you, especially if teams didn't respect them. They might be able to sneak up on some people for a little while and everything. And maybe Emmett Johnson's going to be the real deal. Who knows? Maybe I mean, if you're the Chiefs, you don't want to find that out because you just signed a running back that you really, really liked with a bunch of money. So you don't want anybody to get hurt, but maybe Emmett Johnson is the real deal. Maybe he could step in and you wouldn't feel like you're missing a beat. I mean, he is not the guy that he used to be, but I cannot see this Chiefs team having a good season without Travis Kelce being at 700 yards plus. I mean, I think it is entirely just, if this offense is better this year, Travis Kelce could have a rebound year. I mean, last year, he didn't have a bad season it was a bad season for him. I mean, but a bad season for his age? No, I mean, it was a great season for his age. I mean, it was, his year last year in those regards was kind of ridiculous. I mean, he was that good last year. But this year, I mean, the Chiefs needed to be that good again, and they could really use him, cutting out the devastating drops that he had last year. Would be nice. Either catch the ball or knock it to the ground. Just do something. Would be great. But I'm trying to come up with a reason that it's not Travis Kelce that they have to have a good season out of. I mean, if right now that's another one of those benchmarks, and maybe I need to do a story on this. It's just how do I know that the Chiefs have had a playoff season? How do I know that this team is contending for a Super Bowl? I mentioned earlier, I mean, Rashee Rice, I mean, if he has had a good season, I think that the Chiefs are going to have a good season. Um, if Travis Kelce has 800 yards receiving this year, I think they're going to be Super Bowl contending team. I mean, they're going to be one of the best teams in the AFC. Because I think if Travis Kelce is able to come back and back it up and have another 800-yard plus season, I think then that you've got a guy who is part of a pretty good offense, because I think that means that he's getting open. That means that other guys are producing as well, that the run game is working, and they don't have to pay as much attention to Travis Kelce. He's not getting double teamed as much, and there's a lot going on. I think those are all good things, but and the other part of it too is that I just look at this offense right now, and I do not see the backup tight end that can do what Kelce does. Maybe a Jared Wiley will surprise us. Maybe a Jake Breening-Sewell will surprise us. We know Noah Gray is who we know he is. He is not an 800-yard receiver. So I just don't know. I mean, this team, it feels like that the Chiefs are going to want to run it through a triangle. It's going to be Kenneth Walker on the ground. It's going to be Rashee Rice through the air on the outside underneath, and it's going to be Travis Kelce over the middle. And those three players can be monsters. Doesn't mean Xavier Worthy might not have a monster season too. I mean, if this turns into an offense that's back up to like 5,000 yards passing, even 4,500 yards passing, Xavier Worthy is going to be a big part of that as well. But I mean, I guess I could make a case that, hey, if either Xavier Worthy or Rashee Rice goes down, one of them accounts for the bulk of it. Maybe Cyrus Allen steps up and, has a really, good year, 600 to 800 yards, something like that helps offset it. There is nothing that offsets anything happened to Travis Kelce. And I mean, I know there's people down on Travis Kelce, like he's cooked and everything like that. Dude's not cooked. I mean, he can still ball. I think he needs to play less, because I think he got tired and gets tired at times at this point in his career, and that's what led to the drops. And it can be I don't think it's a lack of attention. I mean, I legitimately think it's a signs of a tired player. I mean, those drops that he's had are signs of fatigue, and to hit the criticism of Chelsea, he needs to be willing to come off the field more. I know in his mind, coming off the field is akin to quitting. And if he has to take himself off the field because he's tired and he should retire, I mean, I still think he can play. And dang it, if he just played like maybe 12 fewer snaps a game, he could be a lot better tight end. But I that's the guy. I mean, like I said, I can see them playing through losing a receiver. I could see a scenario where the run game, steps up without Kenneth Walker, maybe because of the Emmett Johnson draft. But I just can't see, this offense without Travis Kelce. I just don't see it happening, because I just don't think that there's anything behind him right now. Man, Dog Petter, thank you very much for the loot box. That is very kind of you. I'm still learning about all this, so I'm going to be honest. I don't know what it is, but I'm looking forward to figuring this out, because tonight's the first night I've gotten jewels. So you guys, because it was Dog Petter, was you and Aaron that gave me the jewels. So now I get to learn all about this and everything. But I had Nancy was telling me about this, I think last week, and I was trying to figure out what was going on when one of her people that she was watching was getting jewels and loot boxes, and I'm like, okay, I need to figure out what this is. Thank you very much. You were much too kind. Tim, if Jalen Royals gets cut, is he going to have to change his name to Jalen Peasants? Well, I mean, I was going to say Jalen Mavericks. Ha! There we go. Do we have any more? Do you still have minor league baseball? Do we still have are they still called the T-Bones? No, they're the Monarchs. There you go. Oh, there we go, Jalen Monarchs. There you go. That's why, Tim, that's why we're the best. We've got the best people here. Thanks for the super chat, Tim. That was awesome. Juddins, with the addition of McDaniels as OC, healthy all-pro tackles, and a two-headed monster and running back, and Justin Herbert either does not make the playoffs or loses again in the playoffs. Can you see a trade? You're talking about like a trade for Justin Herbert, for the Chargers giving up on Herbert and moving on. I have to look at his contract situation and see if, I mean, in today's NFL, you can pretty much, anybody's, unless you've guaranteed a ridiculous amount of money to a guy that gets inappropriate massages, you can pretty much walk away from any contract in the league these days. I think I said that in a way that will not get me in trouble with the YouTube people, but what is, I was looking up Justin Herbert's contract, or trying to real quick, and once again, people, I sometimes I can't talk and type at the same time anymore. It really annoys me. I'm getting old. But let's see. They're stuck with that dude, I think. Doesn't mean they can't bench him, but he has $86 million in dead cap after this year. So let's see, what if you were carry the one denominator. The out in his contract is after 2028. So the Chargers are pretty well committed to him for 3 more seasons. You could jettison after 2028, it looks like, I guess, and have $28 million, or after 27 and have $28 million in cap hit. If you walked after this year, and it's either a release or a trade, he's got 80, I guess, how much of that? Okay, it wouldn't be the entire amount, because 36 million is guaranteed for injury, and and 36 million in 27 is already guaranteed for 2027. That would be the problem. That would be the sticking point, is that if you're going to trade Herbert, if you're the Chargers, after this season, you could save, off the top of my head, it looks like you could save $50 million. Excuse me, you would take a $50 million hit. You could save $36 million, but another team is going to have to take that $36 million off your hands, and they're going to have to pay Justin Herbert $36 million. And I'm not, is there, maybe I guess there's a team out there that would do it. I don't know if they would trade you, or give you a lot for him. And I think Herbert would have to, again, contribute heavily to whatever disaster happened. Herbert has lost some playoff games. His team has lost some playoff games around him. He's not been responsible for every one of their flameouts. So I think if you're in the Chargers and you collapse, then there's a chance that it's all his fault. If it's a playoff collapse, there's a chance that it's all his fault. But he's had some help with it over the years. So I could see both go, and there is probably somebody for $36 million would take him up for 1 year and see what happens. Although it would then, his contract also has a rolling guarantee, so you're also signed up for 2028. That's what's going to, I think, make that contract a little difficult to get out of if you're the Chargers. It's not quite Deshaun Watson-esque, but it's a tricky contract to get out of. It's set for him to be there. Yeah, I forgot that they were, for a moment, I just forgot that they were the Monarchs. Monarchs is a great name. I love it. It's great. I've been to a game there, so I should remember that. It's just like, come on. It's just like anything else in Kansas City. They're always, in my mind, at times, are going to be the T-Bones, just like the amphitheater in Bonner Springs is always going to be sandstone. And I know it hasn't been sandstone for like 27 years. So it's just how things roll. So, Paul, I'm afraid to answer stadium questions. Did I miss it? Seriously, if I missed some stadium questions, I apologize. Feel free. I've got another question to answer here and everything like that, Paul. So you're around, fire away with a question. And if you see another one, copy it and feel free. I didn't mean to miss it. If I did, I apologize, because I have no problem answering stadium questions. I don't know if you like the answer, but I'll be glad to answer some stadium questions if I have an opinion or I know what the facts are. So, Dog Petter with the proposition of the week. Laporta and a sixth for the Chiefs' third and fifth. Ooh, man. Let's see, Laporta. Okay, I'm moving. So basically, I'm just moving back to the sixth and giving up a third for Laporta. I mean, I'm trying to see the downside of this. Let's see. There's something that I am missing because that feels like something I would do, but I wouldn't if I were the Detroit Lions. So, I mean, call up and make the offer. Go for it. I think absolutely. It's go for it. I mean, yeah, if the Lions would go for it, I would pull the trigger on that too. I mean, there's a few tight ends in the league I'd probably do that trade for, maybe even a little bit more. But I'm guessing. I mean, because basically it's probably math wise, not quite, but depending on what the Chiefs. I mean, basically, I guess you're talking about maybe an early third for Laporta is what that would kind of turn into. I mean, if you're you probably have a better chance with the third and the fifth for Laporta without the sixth coming back. It would be a very beach trade to get the sixth back, though. You might have to upgrade it, but I mean, I would make the trade, dog, but I just don't know that the Lions would fall for that banana in the tailpipe. But Jimmy's, if you remember the Chiefs' last proposal for renovation to Arrowhead, that it's not hard to imagine how and where the Chiefs are spending $3 billion. And maybe this, and Paul, I just saw your question there too, and maybe that's. Let me go back and see if there was another one that maybe. Oh, I see it now. And there was a comment too there from I totally missed this one before, my friend. If Kansas is going to hand the Chiefs $3 billion boards for a stadium, what are the scoreboards in the stadium? Where's the SoFi 360 ring scoreboard? Okay, now I will say this. Don't get too excited about comparing whatever the Chiefs are doing to SoFi, because I'm going to. I thought about just throwing out a number about what sci-fi cost, and it was just going to be a ridiculous made-up number, except I think that's the actual number. That thing estimated was 5 to 6 billion. I'm told that it was 7 plus that Stan Kroenke poured into that thing. And I mean, so when you're talking about 7 billion versus 3 billion, yeah, you're talking about some serious differences here. So don't expect SoFi standards in this building. And even I'm trying to remember what the Cowboys spent. I feel like the Cowboys spent a little bit more than that. Hey, you should expect Vegas at least. You should. What Buffalo is doing. You should expect. There is a standard. And this is why I said what I said earlier about the stadium and talking about how the renderings are fine. If that's how the stadium ends up looking, great. If the roof looks like a Pringle and it works, fantastic. If the translucent roof lets you grow grass indoors and it doesn't ruin sight lines and blind players and all these things, fantastic. If you're bringing in the Arrowhead scoreboards and you're trying to create that, and I know, like I said, the probably number one feedback that the Chiefs got in those surveys that they did about what Chiefs fans wanted if they did a remodel or a new stadium, the number one thing was if you're going to build a new stadium, they want Arrowhead atmosphere. And for whether it's accurate or not, the Chiefs are interpreting that as basically making sure that tailgating is still there and making it honor the traditions of Arrowhead. So for them in the renderings, that means looks like it's got Arrowhead scoreboards brought in. I'm being a little facetious about talking about the renderings that were done in 2024 when they were trying to get the Star bonds passed and the issue passed the State House in Kansas. They're just like though. I mean, they're basically the same. The rendering's just updated with a couple of things. They got a racing stripe on the outside of the stadium. I think they made the roof a Pringle, and they put in some Arrowhead scoreboards in there. I mean, I've seen some questions about, hey, it doesn't look like there's a drum deck in there. That's where I say the devil's in the details. The renderings are one thing. I mean, anytime there's renderings that come out on a project at this point in the process, I mean, I'm almost guaranteeing that the stadium as it's built is only going to have a passing resemblance to the renderings we saw last week. Whether or not Chiefs fans like this stadium it's going to be in the details. It's going to be in the, hey, is the Ring of Honor there? What's the Hall of Fame going to be like? What's the fan experience going to be like? Is it going to be easier to navigate? Is it going to be comfortable? Is it going to be where, hey, there's places I can go cool down if I'm paying premium money for a preseason game in 98-degree heat in August? Are there some places where I can go cool down? Are there some water stations? Are the concession stands easy to get to? Are there cool ribbon boards and highlight boards? Can I keep tabs on the game if I'm at the concession stands? I don't even know anymore. I mean, there's probably other things I'm forgetting. I mean, hey, is this stadium equipped for holographic replay when that comes along? I mean, what are the little features and the details going to be in there? Are the seats comfortable? Does it feel like does it have the ambiance and the sounds of Arrowhead? I mean, those aren't in renderings. I mean, these are all things that they've got to get right. And that's why, I mean, to me, the renderings are almost irrelevant. I mean, and like I said, I mean, they look like something. I mean, there's going to be a thing there. I will say this. I mean, is there's another reason why this isn't going to be a $7 billion SoFi stadium. I mean, we're talking about, and if I remember correctly off the top of my head here, without having the story and notes in front of me, I'm thinking we're talking $3 billion for a stadium, another $1 billion for the training complex and the team headquarters and everything in Olathe. But that's not the only thing that goes with it. It's the development that's going around it. There's planned development for around this stadium. So not all of that's going into the stadium. So, I mean, could you end up being disappointed a little bit because you're getting like a $2.5 billion stadium and for $3 billion, because $500,000 of that's going to a office complex and some mixed use residential or some coffee shops and everything like that on the outskirts of the parking and everything. I mean, a little bit, not exactly like the like Dallas, but maybe in that ballpark. I mean, is that going to be part of it? I don't know. I mean, again, I mean, I say the devil's in the details. These renderings, I mean, the new stadium for the Chiefs could look nothing like the renderings that we saw last week, and it could be a hit if they get the little details right. I mean, and we're not going to know until 2031 if they're going to get those little details right. I mean, I've been following a little bit about the Buffalo, this week and everything, and that, I mean, everybody was excited about that stadium, and now it sounds like that they're nitpicking a lot of the little details. Well, you better get the details right, because the big picture stuff doesn't matter if you don't get those. And you're talking, where's the $3 billion going? Where's the Cowboys' huge video board? Well, let's see here. Dang, that only cost $1.3 billion when they built it. Now, it was 17 years ago, and so with inflation, that would be $2 billion. Yeah, and in that case, you know what? I will take that back. If this stadium is not on par with AT&T in Dallas, I think you should be disappointed. Now, that said, I mean, AT&T, it's got a great video board. I think its concourses are horrific. I mean, I've been there. I've covered them games there from the press box, and that's a much better place to, I think, watch a game in that stadium than from the stands, because there are places in the stands that you might end up watching from a concourse 35 deep. I mean, there's like a dead end in the end zone that just like goes nowhere, and people just end up backed up there. The traffic flow is absolutely miserable, and I mean, and another reason why I'm not entirely, I don't know if those renderings are going to be 100% accurate, and that really hit me last week looking at those renderings, is that the Chiefs have said that this stadium is going to be built to FIFA compliance. So does that mean that it's going to be similar to what they have done to Arrowhead? Are they going to have modular seating that can come in and come out? Is it just going to be a wide field and wider sidelines, which means the fans will be further away? I don't know. Will it really be that steep? I mean, I think that's the intention, because they want that stadium to be steep, because they want to try and recreate the sound of Arrowhead. The sound of Arrowhead was, if you've ever read about it, was kind of accidental. I mean, how do you rebuild that? I don't know. So, yeah, I know I'm blathering on and that at this point, and I mean, I'm not saying I didn't like the renderings. I'm not saying I wasn't impressed with them. I mean, they look fine. It looks like a fun. I mean, it's got a little bit of, hey, looks like a alien spaceship. That's what stadium's supposed to look like these days, I guess. But again, I mean, I don't watch renderings. I watch a football game from the stands, and if the game's not fun, if I don't get good sight lines, if I don't have a comfortable seat, if I can't get to the concession stand and back without missing an entire quarter, if I can't see the scoreboard, if it's crummy, if it's not a fun experience, then I'm not going to like the stadium. I mean, it's just going to be the little things. Hallelujah. Okay. I was going to answer this question, but then I think that I missed another question. So I will, but it's Jedden's question. So I mean, just because I answer one of your questions before the other Jedden's, I think I'm okay. What do you think they will do with Justin Fields, and how does he look? I mean, I think he's going to be what he is. I think he's going to be their number 2 quarterback. I'll be interested to see if they do add any wrinkles for him, that just some gadget plays. I mean, I know Andy Reid said they didn't bring him here to be a gadget quarterback, but that doesn't mean that he might not be a backup quarterback who just runs some gadget things. As far as how he's looked, I did say I think he has looked better the last 3 days than I saw during OTAs. During OTAs, the ball was sailing on him a little bit. Could have been the wind, because it seemed like it was like blowing the wind like 20, 25 miles an hour every single day during OTAs. It was just some bad luck. And he and Garrett Nussmeier, I thought, were both sailing the ball a little bit. I thought he's looked better the last 3 days, more comfortable. Looks like he's getting rid of the ball a little bit faster. And these are all things that he's got to do. I mean, that's the struggles. Still, putting the ball in harm's way. But again, you're Andy Reid. You're not worried about that. You want him to figure out what he can get away with. So only going to be concerned if he has to play, that he's still giving the ball away. But I'm seeing a guy that, at least for the first 3 days, it looks like he's got a little bit more command of the offense. Looks like he's making reads quicker, a little bit more on point throw wise, not looking to bolt as much as he was during OTAs. And that can be a lot of things. It could be more comfort with the receivers. It can be more comfort with the offense. It can be, like I said, better conditions. And like I said, there's still some worries. I mean, like I said, both him and Nussmeier still sailing the ball a little bit more than I would prefer. Accuracy hasn't been on point exactly. There's still things for both of them to work on. But I think, I mean, from what I've seen from Fields so far, I would say I think he's the clear number 2 quarterback. I mean, I think there's a pretty good distance between him and Nussmeier. So there's that. But there's a pretty good distance between Fields and Mahomes. So there's that too. I don't think, I mean, again, it's just like any other team, and your Chiefs learned this last year. I mean, if your team is built around a Hall of Fame quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, and you have to play without Patrick Mahomes, you're hosed. So, I mean, you can play a couple of games, but you have to play an entire half a season with your backup quarterback. You're just crossing your fingers for luck. And Judge, you also asked, given it is Travis Kelce's last dance, what could the Chiefs do to pad his stats? I don't think there's really anything that they can do too much or should do to pad his stats. I mean, the only thing that's left out there is receiving yards for a career by a tight end. And he's not going to catch Tony. I mean, he would need at least 2 new full seasons, because I'm like, how many yards is Tony's at 15, 127, and Travis is at 1302. I mean, he's got 2,000 yards. I mean, Travis would need at least two full great seasons, better seasons than he had the last 2 years. And more than likely, he'd need 3 years to get to the Tony Gonzalez. So I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't know if there's really anything. I mean, that's the only, like I said, that's the only stat that I think is out there that really has anything significant. Um, I mean, gosh, he's 34. Is that right? I'm looking, yeah, 34 touchdown catches behind behind Antonio Gates. He's not going to get 34 touchdown passes. So, I mean, those are the two only really things that are out there that would, I think, be a big difference maker one way or the other for Travis. So, I don't know. I mean, I think the only thing that they would ever do to try, like looking to pad his stats or anything would be like at the end of the season if he was close to 1,000 yards or something, or close to some other team record or something. But I mean, Travis has also never been about that life. So I mean, if he had 970 yards or something like that going into the last game of the season, and they were like, "Hey, Travis, we can get you one more 1,000-yard season," and he'd probably, but they were going to the playoffs, he'd probably say, "Yeah, I'm good." So that's Travis for you. Third question in a row. Probably a little bit my fault there, Judens. Isn't the outdoor weather an advantage for the Chiefs at Arrowhead in the playoffs? I mean, I think largely it is. I mean, I think it gets a little bit overplayed, but I do think that there is an advantage especially when you're talking about a team that plays in warm weather, especially outdoors. Then I think there's an advantage there. I mean, did the Chiefs have an advantage against the Dolphins in that -4 weather? Yeah, they did. Did they have an advantage against? I mean, the Colts play indoors, but the Chiefs. I mean, so maybe that's another place where you have an advantage. They have an advantage against the Colts in the snow. I mean, there have been times too when the Chiefs have played in the cold and looked like they didn't have an advantage. So it can go a little bit of both ways. I mean, and honestly, when you're coming back to the dome aspect of it, there's two parts. One is that if you want a retractable dome, then it's going to cost you even more. So you're going to have to pay for it, and don't see the interest. And I think the Chiefs saw that there was just not, an interest from Chiefs fans or the state, either one, any of the parties with which they were negotiating. There was just no interest in paying for a retractable dome. And two, there's not a lot of purpose in building a dome if you can't guarantee and bring other events there. And I'm not even talking about a Super Bowl. I mean, yeah, if you build a dome, you darn want a Super Bowl in Kansas City. But again, I mean, if you're building a dome, you also want to make sure that you don't have to postpone Jelly Roll in concert, or Kenny Chesney, or Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, I mean, I know everybody in Fleetwood Mac, there's nobody alive anymore or plays in the band anymore, but I still want to see Fleetwood Mac, and that would still be a bucket list concert for me. So hey, not gonna, I mean, Arrowhead has done pretty good with concerts. They lose out on a lot of concerts because they don't have a dome, because there's also a lot of bands that don't want to come, and either one, risk the postponement factor, or two, I don't want to play outdoors in July in Kansas City. I mean, there's a lot of things that Kansas City misses out on because they don't have a dome stadium. And I mean, hey, I, for one, wouldn't mind some of those things coming to town. There's also a lot of money making things. Just even conventions going to domes is a big business, and what they're planning on doing out there, I mean, it looks like that could be a destination for some of these things, so there's a lot of things that you can do with a dome that, I mean, to me, I mean, yes, there's a cost to it, which is either you're doing a dome with or not. And if you're not going to do the dome, I mean, the option is not to add a roof, a retractable roof. You're not going to get that. And if you're going to build a stadium without a roof, you're going to miss out on a lot of events and a lot of revenue. And I think that hurts, obviously, the people and the state. I mean, I'm not a Kansas taxpayer or anything like that, but if they were building this in Missouri, I'd want a dome. And I wouldn't care if it was I'd prefer it be the retractable, but I probably wouldn't want to spend another $1 or $1.5 billion on to make it retractable. Those things are costly, they're expensive. So no, I mean, I'd rather probably have that. I mean, everybody's different. everybody's got their own choices. So I don't, and that's the thing. I mean, we're probably never all going to agree on what we would want in a stadium, but they're trying to build something that's, appealing to the most common denominator, and we'll see what it ends up looking like. But man, I had, I mean, I had no intention of not talking about the stadium. I didn't have any intention of talking about the stadium this much, but oh, how much will a beer cost? Well, probably not as much as a FIFA beer. That's the most expensive, Harold. So, oh yeah, if it's 1875 right now, what FIFA was what going to be at least 24, I bet. So no, I mean, with that roof, it's got to be Pringles overhead, unless people think it looks like something else, which I thought it did. But since nobody else seems to think that, I'm not, like I said earlier, I'm not going to say it. But if anybody else ever thinks that it looks like what I thought it looked like before Jason Anderson suggested to me that it was a Pringle, but Pringles Arrowhead at, or Arrowhead, Pringles Field at GHA Stadium, Arrowhead. I don't know what they'll call it, but yeah, you get something like that in there. We're in. Ah, there you go. You were not impressed with the renderings. I mean, I was pretty. I mean, I'm like, okay, they're renderings. Let's just wait and see what happens. There you go. It's bonus time, Luttrell. I'm glad you appreciate it. And nope. Well, it did look like a remodeled Arrowhead. You're not wrong there. I think that was not a mistake. I mean, they're trying to go for the nostalgia there. I do enjoy a good hot chocolate on a cold day. I mean, I will say this. I mean, hey, domes are expensive. And once again, I mean, remember, I mean, part of that dome money is also going into the development around there too. And I don't know. I mean, I once again, it's like I said. I mean, I think there will be any number of Chiefs fans and even non-Chiefs fans, just people who are invested in this because they're taxpayers and they live here. I mean, I think everybody's going to have different opinions on it and everything, and people are not going to agree. It's going to be the finished product. The renderings do not matter. I mean, as long as they get the inside right and it works, and as long as they don't gouge people too much, I mean, I think people will probably be reasonably happy with whatever they come up with. But you got to get the details right, and renderings don't have details. So that's the only reason why I'm kind of indifferent on it. It's just like, hey, just matters what they have. Well, Mel, you're the sweetest, Mel. I don't know who you are, but if I'm looking cute, I will take that. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. I mean, I will say this, and not just put it up there because she said I'm cute, but I mean, there's a lot of new stadiums that are becoming online at the same time, and they're all going to get compared. So if Arrowhead does not compare favorably to all these other stadiums coming out at the same time, it's gonna look bad. But hey, I mean, you got Kansas City companies. Kansas City is supposed to be the capital of sports architecture, and several of these other stadiums are being built, with Kansas City sports architecture. So, yeah, once again, kind of like the Sprint Center. I mean, Sprint Center was good. I don't know if the Sprint Center was like the jewel of arenas when it was built. Like, I know it was kind of the goal, but hey, it turned out pretty well. I am scanning through. I figure we should try and end before 10 o'clock. I am scanning for questions. So if I'm mistaking a question, I do apologize. I'll probably try and circle back once we get to the end here. But yeah, messy beer. That's what I'm saying. I mean, Arrowhead beer is at least cheaper than messy beer. Nikki, why do they think development will work? It never worked around the stadium complex. A very, very good question. And honestly, I mean, I know a lot of it goes back to their market research, and they did market research on Arrowhead and Kauffman and the Truman Sports Complex with, because we will probably hear this, Wednesday with Mark Donovan. He may even say it at some point, talking about the fact that, and probably not, because I don't think we're dwelling on the Truman Sports Complex too much or anything anymore. But they said that, hey, and he has said before that, well, doing a huge redevelopment project with shopping and retail and residential around the Truman Sports Complex wasn't exactly their plan. I mean, that wasn't necessarily what they were going to do. And the biggest reason was because they did their own market research, and it just revealed that they could not get anyone to invest in a project at the Truman Sports Complex. There were no outside investors, no companies that were willing to put their money on the line and say, yeah, we'll put in $250 million of apartments, or we'll put in $400 million of retail, or we'll put in $600 million of office space. There was no one interested in doing it. The sites that they have selected on the Kansas side, I mean, they both have development around them already. So they're not out in the woods. I mean, they're not like the Truman Sports Complex was. I mean, these places are not built and they will come. These are places that already have people going to them. So let's just bring more people to them. And now we'll see. We'll end up seeing which of the sites that the stadium ends up being on, for sure. I mean, like I said, none of the sites are going to be out on their own. I mean, it's entirely possible that the stadium might be at an intersection where there's not a lot going on right now, but there's still enough development in the area that it's all going to tie in. But and I have reason to believe that they probably already have some commitments from some people to go into these projects, both in Olathe and the one in KCK. So I think that's another reason why they think the development will work. The Chiefs, obviously, they have committed to putting their own money into these projects to develop around them if the private investment doesn't come in. So that tells me that they probably already have the private investment lined up, because otherwise they're making $1 billion bet in a couple of these places. And the Hunt family doesn't make $1 billion bets without feeling pretty good about how the outcome's going to be. So I don't think they're rolling the dice here. I think they've got some commitments, and they've got some things that they know are going to come together, that it's not going to end up costing them out of pocket. And at the end, they're going to have projects that they feel pretty good about, and that they didn't have to put their own money into as much. And they were able to get some private investment, and they were able to get some government money too. So well, I hope that the city doesn't lose its mind if the Chiefs have another bad season. I mean, well, people got fired up here at the end, and it wasn't entirely about the stadium. You guys are fired up about everything. I love it. Oh, well, could be that too, Ron. I don't know. And you are right. I mean, there is probably that at play. I cannot argue with that. And that's Kansas City's history too. Oh, right. Hopefully I have caught everything. I guess, there was one more question. Dreams. How's the tailgating at a preseason game? Just like regular season, except less crowded. I mean, that's at least the nice thing. I mean, it's nice for me because I don't like, huge crowds and everything, and like to be able to spread out a little bit and park and everything like that. So, I mean, to me, I don't know if have I ever tailgated at a preseason game? I'm not sure, although, and it's been a long time since I have gone out to talk to people and hang out with people at their tailgates over the last few years. I probably have done that at least, I guess, during a preseason game, but I mean, it's just less attended. So, like I said, I mean, I think tailgating, I mean, it's perfectly normal. People do it during the preseason for sure. So, all right. I apologize if I missed any questions. If I did, my reminder, you can always hit me up here on YouTube. If you're watching here, if you're hitting on Twitter, hit me up your questions. I always try to answer them. If I don't answer them, more than likely I just didn't see it and hadn't checked in. So I'm not ignoring you. Even here on the live stream, if I didn't answer your question, I wasn't ignoring you. I might have not answered it if it was like your 8th question, but that's the only reason. Otherwise, I'm not ignoring your questions. I promise. But you can always hit me up. I will try to give you my best possible answer. And it's going to be busy now getting into it for the next couple of weeks. So we've got camp opening for Reels on Wednesday. We will hear from Mark Donovan. I believe Andy Reid's going to be scheduled to speak again on Wednesday. We will be hearing from select players as well and getting into the camp routine and coaches and players every single day that there's practice. We've got 4 straight days of practice coming up. And then, like I said, there's an off day on Sunday when Nick and I will be talking about football on 41 is the Mic. And then Monday, the pads come on August 3rd. That's when the real fun kicks off. Everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank you for putting up with our technical difficulties at the beginning of the show. Thanks for sticking around to the end, all 2 hours and 57 minutes later. My goodness, I need some ice cream. Yes, I will remember to hydrate. I'm drinking a Gatorade every day and then chasing that with some water. So we got everything going there, Harold. We're taking care of ourselves. Everybody, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Brian, the Chiefs are not cursed. You're fine. It's just they win Super Bowls too, in addition to having crazy things happen. So you're fine. Everybody